welcome to the show. I'm with Maine, your host for today, and we are back. I don't really know what to call this thing. Doing another Pokemon stream, I guess. Today, how dare you? Fantastic day, fantastic time, fantastic evening, and a fantastic life right now. Everybody, I'm back. I'm here, and I'm ready to talk about some video games, I guess. I don't know. Today was just a weird one. I found this site on just randomly fucking around on Google. Like I do occasionally. I just go on like weird rabbit hole searches every so often, as you do, you know. Hold on, I need a drink. You got the remains of a bottle of Coke here, but I need to finish beforehand. What's my actual one? I know I've got a new one. There it is. So I've got a bag next to my chair, which has a it's like got Christmas present stuff, because me and my mum did Christmas yesterday, basically, because she's away over actual Christmas time, so we decided to do Christmas presents early. I got some cords. I got a really nice new like kitchen knife. I got like a meter of Jaffa cakes, a really cool pizza board, which I genuinely love. Like it's one of those like hold the pizza board. It's like I'll fucking show it. I'll show up on screen. It's this thing. It's one of these, right? I'm trying to get it off, not like show it too much on camera for branding and things, because I'm not sponsored. I would love to be sponsored by a cooking thing, but yeah, I got this. It's got pizza cutter with it as well, which is a new one. I really love it. I got a lot of cooking-based things, which everyone knows I always like. I got a new sharpener for the knife as well, because it's a very nice knife. It's one of those, like, heavier, like, halfway between a knife and a cleaver kind of knives. It cuts through vegetables so well. I used it for dinner yesterday. It's so good. Razor sharp. But yeah, I wanted one, because I've got a really nice knife for cutting up meat, but I wanted one for cutting up vegetables as well, right? Because I don't have to share. Because me and, if anyone doesn't know, I do live with my mom. Yeah, I'm gonna lose it, sorry. But we use, like, our own kitchen utensils and things. Because we both individually, like, get food and cook for various things, so. So yeah, I've got my own new kitchen knife, essentially, which is very nice. I don't have to share a vegetable knife. Which is awesome. But yes, so today we are doing a random-ass stream that I thought of because, you know, why the fuck not, right? Essentially, I found this site that has a bunch of gens of Pokemon on it, right? Oh yeah, I haven't done Legends Arceus, have I? Yeah, I should do Legends Arceus as well. So, what basically it is I'm going to pick every game that is like a proper Pokemon game. So I'm not going to do Gale of Darkness because I don't know what it's really about. I'm not going to do Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go... Actually, I might do Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. I might do Let's Go Eevee just because, I mean, Eevee. Like, you got partner Eevee, right? I'm not doing brilliant. I'm going to try to do, like, if the game is always just the same, this is the one. Even if it's got, like, some post-game Pokemon that I'm going to be putting on this, I'm going to go, what is the ones for the game? Right? What Pokemon team would I have for that gen in general? Right? I'll do a Let's Go. Fuck it. I'll do a Let's Go Eevee one because it's different from the normal Kanto one. Right? What do I want to... Nah, fuck it. I've got some time. I might do it at the end. But basically, we're going to start with Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green, because it is just the same as Red and Blue, but prettier. Really. So, I started with Fire Red, I'm going to be honest, so I have fond memories of it. It's definitely the Pokemon game I've played the most. Right. Or at least the most times through. Largely due to Pokemon. Honestly, I played a lot of Pokemon Mo, and I always start with Kanto, because Kanto is my favorite starter. So, kind of biased, right? But anyway, it is a really good game. I would recommend go play Pokemon Mo. Seriously, it's just good. And obviously, because we are going to be picking 6 Pokemon, I have, as it says in the title, we are not counting any legendaries. Even if you could get the legendaries during the story and things like that, we're just not doing it. Because it's a lot easier, generally, right? Even if the legendaries suck and are like, oh, this is a really weak one. Why don't you use this one? It's kind of balanced. It's like, no, it's not. This is the principle of the thing, right? We're doing no legendaries, no paradoxes, and no Ultrabeasts. That's like my caveats. And yeah, I will do Hisui as well. I will do Hisui. It's a different region, right? I guess you should do it by region, right? Rather than by gen, I guess. But I suppose the regions do have Pokemon from other gens in there, which I'm specifically not doing because in so many games, like every game after Gen 4, I would put Garchomp on the team, right? And things like that. It saves me. It's basically just a bit of an easier one to get more Pokemon on this list because there will never be an actual true duplicate, right? There will not be a true duplicate on this list because every Pokemon comes in a different gen. Right? See? Smart. I just thought it'd be a bit of fun, have a bit of a laugh, you know, just a bit of a good time. Anyway, let's begin. We're obviously starting with Fire Red, Leaf Green, good old Kanto. I do love Kanto. Kanto has so many good Pokemon, genuinely. So many ones I just love. Right? Which is impressive because it actually... Kanto is the one region... I think Kanto might be the only region that, of my top 4 favorite types, it's the only region that only has one of them on the team, genuinely. So everyone knows my 4 favorite types. Actually, no, not my 4 favorite types. No, never mind. Yeah, this is the only one. Of my 3 favorite types, it only includes one of them. Because, for everyone who doesn't know my 3 favorite types in Pokemon, in order, my favorite, Dragon. My second favorite, Fire. My third favorite is Steel. Kanto, I don't have a Steel type. For reference, if you're playing Pokemon, you do have access to Steel types in Kanto. Mostly Steelix. Or you can get Scizor. Like, you can get Metal Coats in the game, so you can get Scizor and Steelix. But, Scizor and Steelix are Gen 2. So, not Gen 1 Pokemon. And this specific list is only Gen 1. For the moment. We'll do Gen 2 next, right? So, there is actually no Steel types that I'm going to pick, because, sorry, I do like Magnezone. I'm never putting a Magnezone on my Kanto team, right? I know people love it, and it's good, but not for me, thanks. I am more sitting to specific things. And anyway, as usual in Kanto, we gotta start with my boy, my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon by a significant margin. My absolute unit, my boy, my starter of choice. We're gonna start with Charizard, right? The big bad. If you could get a shiny, I would love a shiny as well. Is it breaking? There he is. Shiny Charizard if you can get him, and I do like my shiny Charizard. But it's just generally Charizard, right? He's great. Fire Flying type, my favorite Fire Flying type as well. It's not a great combo typing, but honestly, in Kanto, Charizard does work. Charizard's, like, in competitive Pokemon fallen off outside of, you know, Megas and G-Max. Charizard's really good, obviously. But standard Charizard, he does work, right? He's not bad. He's just fallen off because power creep. But he's still a good mon. You can't really complain with his, like, decent speed. Hits pretty hard. He's got a good move pool. Could be better, but he's definitely got good moves. His stats are alright. The big thing about Charizard, which kind of loses him a lot of points, is Fire Flying's not a good type. It's not terrible. There's a lot worse types in Pokemon than Fire Flying. But it's not great. Rocks destroy it. Like, it's got a lot of weaknesses, right? And that's the main one. Rock being a major, major weakness. But Charizard also gets a good chunk of immunities for the price as well, so. But yeah, it's just not a particularly good combo, because, you know, mostly stealth rocks exist. But you can definitely make Charizard work, and I regularly do it in Kanto, particularly. Charizard is my boy. He's my boy in Kanto. My favorite Gen 1 Pokemon, as I said before. And yeah, this might genuinely be the only gen. I don't think I have a dragon in Gen 2. I think Gen 1 and 2 are the only two gens on this entire list that I don't have a dragon. I might have a dragon in Gen 2. There is a non-zero chance, but I'll have to think about that more then. When we actually get to Gen 2. But yeah, Charizard's my opener. Also, I'm going to try and make these teams, like, at least workable. Right? They're not going to be the most competitively viable team ever, but it's always going to be something that's just, you gotta have a bit of fun, right? But yeah, so, Charizard, easy opener. Second choice, I will say, a lot of people associate me with my next choice for very funny reasons. So I've talked before about one particular Pokemon that I am very, very fond of in Gen 1. Not my favorite Pokemon at all. No, not my favorite. But I just like this Pokemon. I'm I'm going to do fully evolved forms only unless I actively will use an unevolved Pokemon for whatever reason. But I will always put on this list fully evolved Pokemon, because you got to go for an actual team, right? That's something you got to beat the champion with, right? Like, this would be the beat the champion setup. And so Charizard, obviously. But I like Kanto. You gotta get your lots of poison. There's a lot of poison in Kanto, so you've gotta have your poison type to represent that. And there's a particular poison type. There's a few poison types, honestly, in Kanto that I absolutely adore. Not my favorite poison type ever, but I think it was a lot of my top 10 poison types were Kanto. Genuinely. I know at least one of them was. So, we gotta go for this one, the second spot. It can only be Vileplume. Everybody knows how much I love... Did it change? I guess not. I feel these come up with a gender thing because it changes the looks, which is just honestly kind of interesting. I didn't know, apparently Vileplume might have a difference. I don't fucking know. But I love Vileplume so much. I always have my onion on the team in Kanto. This thing has done so much to earn its place on a Kanto team for me. Genuinely. In every one except my mono ground type Kanto run, I have had a Vileplume on the team, and it has done work. You can get it really early. You get it through, you get it just after Misty. Oh, yeah, I say just after Misty. You get it in the same patch of grass that you get Abra, right? You can get a Oddish, and you will have an Oddish that will help so much against Misty. Admittedly, her Starmie gets Psychic and stuff like that. At least if you're playing more complicated games, like Pokemon, I think it gets Psychic or Confusion or something like that. Which is pretty fucking brutal, I'm gonna be honest. But back in the day, Misty Starmie in Pokemon Mo was so brutal, it had to be nerfed. Her entire team was like, it was like Goldeen, Staryu, Starmie, and her Starmie had Water Pulse, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, and Psychic, I think. It was an absolute menace. There was nothing it didn't do well against that you had access to at that point. Well, I guess you could have Kadabra, maybe? I don't remember if you could have Kadabra by the level cap. And even then, it resists everything Kadabra can do. So, brutal Pokemon. But yeah, Vileplume is a really cool Pokemon. It is. I love Oddish so much. Everyone knows I'm a huge fan of Oddish. Apparently, a bunch of my friends have started associating me with Oddish, which I'm kind of okay with, right? I really like this Pokemon. I have used this in actual competitive as well, and it's very fun. It's not great, obviously, but I like it. You could do work with it. Grass poison type, one of my favorite poison types. Outright, one of my favorite grass types. So, I just love this Pokemon so much. I do. I have a huge soft spot for Vileplume. And for Oddish in general. I think Gloom does let the side down, but Oddish is one of the cutest Pokemon in existence, and Vileplume is just awesome. And it is cute as well. It keeps the cuteness in. It's not quite as cute as Oddish. Like Oddish, my Little Onion's impossible, almost impossible to beat. In fact, I would say Oddish, for me, second cutest Pokemon in Kanto. That would probably be mine. It's got some stiff competition from, like, Vulpix and, the Eeveelutions. Eevee itself, by the way, the cutest Pokemon in Kanto. I will statement that, and I don't think many people would argue. Or they'd at least go, fair enough. But yeah. Anyway, yes. Charizard and Vileplume for my openers. And speaking of the little patch of grass, we gotta go for another one. You're in Kanto, right? What's the thing everybody remembers about Kanto, other than it being the obviously like the first region and all that stuff? Psychic type is broken in Kanto. But mostly there's like 2 or 3 psychic types that are insanely broken in Kanto. And we're obviously putting one of them on the team. Because we gotta have an Alakazam, right? Is this one change? No, okay. We gotta have Alakazam. Everybody loves this. Like, let's face it, everybody loves the Abracadabra Alakazam line, right? Everybody loves them. They are very cool Pokemon. They're very good. And in Kanto particularly, they're especially good. Because they're a Pokemon that's, like, okay, I think, nowadays. Like, it's definitely fallen off because it gets no moves that aren't psychic, I think. It gets, like, shite moves. That's its only weakness, though. And in Kanto, honestly, you only need Psychic. There's, like, no Dark types. I think in like, Pokemon, and I think in Fire Red, you can find some, like, Dark types and things, but they're not, like, a major part in the game. I think you can, like, find wild Houndours and Murkrows, maybe, in Fire Red. I don't fucking know. So there's a couple of mods you can't just insta-kill with Psychic with an Alakazam. But there's not many. There's not many. But obviously, and I also will say, I very regularly, at least in the early games, and as a kid to be honest, I always liked having a super, super fast Psychic type. I will say, Alakazam massively fell off for me when they added a Pokemon I prefer to it. But Alakazam is still really, really cool and really, really good. So, yeah, you gotta have an Alakazam. And also, that Pokemon isn't available in Gen 1. So. But I do always like having a really fast Psychic type just on the team, right? And Alakazam is my choice for Kanto, definitely. So next up. You know what we haven't done yet? We haven't got a water type. I do say Kanto has some phenomenal water types. Right? It's just got some amazing ones. I was talking earlier about the absolute fucking nightmare that is Starmie. Honestly, I like Seadra. I know a lot of people don't. I'm a big fan of Kingdra, actually. But I've always had a soft spot for it. Partially because it's got like a dragon theming to it, even if it's not actually a dragon. And also, I will say, Seadra is cool in the kind of way of, I just like seahorses. I used to be just a big fan of seahorses as a kid. So, I do think Seadra is quite just nice in general. But it doesn't quite meet up to snuff for 4 of the best water types ever. I'm really sorry, Blastoise, you're alright, and Poliwrath, you're alright. Golduck, we all hate you, nobody cares. But, for me, Kanto has 4 major water types. Oh yeah, Cloyster, actually no, Cloyster, I like Cloyster. But Cloyster's more of like a newer thing for me to enjoy. Kanto has 4 really, really good, really, really fun, and absolute beasts of water types. 2 of them are, I think, in my top 5 water types. Hell, I think 2 of them are top 4 favorite water types of all time. Genuinely. And there are some absolute winners. As people saw my water type video, go watch that on my YouTube, by the way. It is there. That I'm a huge fan of 4 particular water types that are all in Kanto. I'm a big Lapras fan. Everybody likes Lapras, we all know. Really awesome ice water type. Bulky as hell. Great personality as well. Like, everyone just, like, Lapras is such a cool mod. I actually would really love to get Lapras in Pokemon Unite. It's one of the tanks I actually want to get. Because basically on my freebies that I got, I was like going, ooh, do I want Mamoswine or do I want Lapras for the free tank? Because I already have Goodra, which is the tank I wanted. And I decided on Mamoswine, but I do really like Lapras, and I was in a bit of 2 minds. It was between those 2. And I do want to try Lapras, so. So yeah, that is a Pokemon I'm kind of after in Pokemon Unite. You know what, I'll actually tell, just if in case anyone is curious. Because yeah, the Pokemon Unite at the moment, if you're looking for like 5 days at all, you'll basically just get 5 Pokemon. I messaged a friend with the list I got, so I don't have to check. The list I got, the 5 Pokemon I got, because it's 1 from each class. I got Metagross, Mamoswine, Leafeon, Glaceon, and Blissey. Because I had to pick a support, and I was like, I don't mind Blissey. Not my favorite Pokemon, but it's not awful. Right? But yeah, anyway. So yeah, water types. Lapras is cool. I do really like Lapras. Probably my 3rd choice out of these 4 Pokemon. Tentacruel, I do really like Tentacruel. I have used Tentacruel in the past in a playthrough, not in Kanto. I actually used it in Johto, of all things, on Pokemon, because I wanted to use Tentacruel, because I know I like the Pokemon. My webcam has died, hasn't it? Yep. Oh, fuck's sake. There we go. There's the light turn off. Very aggravating. Anyway, as I was saying, Tentacruel is an awesome Pokemon that I do really, really like. But unfortunately, it just doesn't measure up to the top 3. Which are, again, Lapras is number 3 on that list. Tentacruel, you're unfortunately number 4th place on this. But it's respectable. I do like Cloyster as well. I'd say Cloyster would be number 5. Tentacruel would be number 4. Lapras would be number 3. Now that leaves 2 of the coolest water types of all time. Sorry, the fossils aren't getting love on this one. But the 2 of the coolest, and 2 of my favorite water types. Both of these have been regular appearances on me doing Kanto playthroughs. I have done multiple playthroughs with both of them. They are both a really good choice, and I regularly do switch between them. They are, I believe, my 3rd and 4th place Pokemon in just water type. In general. So, they are Gyarados, who everybody loves Gyarados. We all love Gyarados. Everybody loves it. It's an absolute powerhouse of a Pokemon. Great design. One of the best designs of Pokemon. Also, the only fully evolved Pokemon I think that has appeared in every single Pokemon game. Genuinely. I think it's the only one. Or at least in the main game of everyone. Because I believe Magikarp and Gyarados are the only ones that were in Gen 5 that were originally from a different game. Because I think Gen 5 basically went, we're going to add entirely new. We're going to do everything from scratch. With original Black and White. So you can get, yeah, obviously a load more ones later, but in original Black and White, I believe the only Pokemon that was in, even including Pikachu. Pikachu wasn't in Black and White. It's the only one. It's the only game I think Pikachu isn't in. Is the baseline, like, before, post-game, Black and White. I think the only one is Magikarp, so Gyarados is always available. But, unfortunately, Gyarados, you're a great mon, and I absolutely love you. You are probably my 4th favorite water type of all time. Right? I will say this. There's a lot of competition as well, because water type obviously has a billion Pokemon in it. Oh, I will also say, fire types in Kanto also absolutely slap. I didn't really talk about this enough. Kanto has 3 of my favorite fire types of all time. With Charizard, Arcanine, and Ninetales. Unfortunately, Charizard is my favorite fire type of all time, so I will always put it on the team. So the other 2 don't really get as much love. Because I don't like having lots of fire types on a team. But they're all good, and I've regularly used all 3 of them. Just generally throughout Pokemon. And I love Flareon, but it's terrible. I do love Flareon, though. It's very cute. But, yeah. Here's the thing. Did you know? Nah, I'm not gonna go with that one. But, yeah. One of my favorite water types of all time, probably my 3rd favorite water type, is Vaporeon. It was actually my water type Pokemon in my original first ever Kanto playthrough. I'm not kidding. I believe I had a Vaporeon very early, like pretty much as soon as you could get it. I love it so much. I've always had a soft spot for the fish cat. It's very cute for one. Yes, people ruined it with fanfics and things, right? But I still just can't help but liking the mon. It's just a really cute mon. And look at it. Look at her. She's very cute. I also think I got crazy lucky with my first one. I think I genuinely did actually have a female Vaporeon. I didn't realize how lucky I was that my random, like, gifted Eevee that you get in Celadon was a female one. But I believe, guys, oh, it's just a Pokemon. Okay, fair enough. Why not? But then it's like, oh yeah, Eevee. How does a shiny Vaporeon even look like? I don't remember. Not a marked difference. But yeah, Vaporeon is... I'm a huge fan of the Pokemon. It's really tanky, is a big one. It's a really, really tanky mon. It's a special attacker, which is actually important because in Fire Red, they hadn't done the physical special split yet. Well, they had done the physical special split, but they hadn't... Actually, no, they hadn't, yeah. They'd done the special split, but they hadn't done the physical special split. So all water type moves were just special. And Vaporeon has a massive special attack stat. Well, at the time it was, at least. Because I think its best stat is health, and its second best is special attack. And it's just tanky, in general. Like, Vaporeon is a really fun mon. Really good. Just an absolute powerhouse, honestly. And it's really good. It's a great one with Surf as well. And I just like it. Jay, honestly, I just like the mon. I've always liked the design. I thought it's incredibly cute. It's also cool. I kind of like the, obviously it's a fish, right? It's a fish cat. But I always thought it looked kind of like, reptilian. Like, almost, or like, it's like kind of sharky as well, I guess. But it's almost a, kind of gives me prehistoric reptile kind of vibes, which I also am a huge fan of, obviously. I like my dinosaurs and my marine reptiles and things like that. I don't know, it just kind of gives me the kind of vibe. I think it's the spikes down the back going along the long tail, probably. But I don't know, I just really love the mon. I think it's an awesome mon, and yeah. I very much am always happy to use a Vaporeon on the team. Now, we get to a fun one. So if you also know Kanto, you also know there's another particularly strong type in Kanto. Like, Psychic's obviously the strongest type in Kanto. But there's another one that's also very, very good. And I'm not talking about Flying type, as crazy as the Flying type Pokemon in Kanto are. Like, seriously. Charizard, Gyarados, the legendary birds... freaking Pidgeot's pretty good. Butterfree's great. Golbat's alright. If you get to Crobat, which you can't in Fire Red, but yeah. Aerodactyl's awesome. Like, Flying's oh, Dragonite. Flying's just kind of goated in Kanto. Also, yeah, there's not a Dragonite on this list because if you know me, you know that I have come around to Dragonite nowadays. But I'm still not a huge fan. Dragonite is one of my least favorite dragons in Pokemon. I know it's very strong, particularly strong in an actual playthrough. Like, where you're not going competitive. In competitive, it's only ever been good in Gen 9. Because in Gen 9, Dragonite is, you can Terra normal it. Honestly, I am semi-convinced that they will do a Mega Dragonite, and I think Mega Dragonite will be Dragon Normal. I'm not gonna lie. I think it'll be a Dragon Normal type. I just kind of have that feeling, you know? Because I think a Dragon Normal type Mega Dragonite would be kind of sick. I do hope they give it more Dragonairy kind of posturing in some way. Like, make it a bit more lithe. I just don't like Dragonite. It always reminded me of Barney the Dinosaur. But the other type that I think is particularly strong in Kanto is Ground type. Right? Ground type is always a really good type. One of my favorite types in Pokemon. Probably my fourth favorite. I'm actually coming more towards putting Ground type over Dark type nowadays. But it's still close between the two. Because Ground type has a lot of my favorite Pokemon in it. And a lot of Pokemon that I just like a lot. Dark type has a good few as well. There are few ones that are really bringing up the bar for a lot of others. There's a lot of Dark types that I'm like, they're alright. And a few which I go, oh, they're awesome. Ground type, I'm realizing, is basically the same. So those two are very interchangeable for 4th place for me. They're definitely 4th and 5th. Whichever order they go. So I always have... In Kanto, I've always basically had 2 ground types that are particularly noteworthy for me. There's the ground type that I always use in the early game. And there's a ground type that I love to use in the late game. But... I will say, I end up honestly using both, and probably they would both appear on this team, in a lot of cases. I am going to choose a different Pokemon as my other one, but we'll get to that. But I will say, either of these 2 Pokemon are very, very much in contention for on this list. We'll actually get to the ones. We'll do some honorable mentions before the last one. So... the ground types that I pick, it's between 2. Because honestly, Onyx, you suck. Dugtrio, you're okay, but you're nothing special. Sandslash, I'm sorry, buddy. Actually, no, correction, there are 3 ground types. Sandslash, you're just bad. There's a lot worse than you, but you're bad. Golem... Golem, for reference of anybody, is awful. It's awful generally, and it's awful in Kanto. It's one of the worst fully evolved Pokemon that is actually put of an evolution line. I will say that. Golem is one of the absolute worst Pokemon ever. Not in terms of design. In terms of design, it absolutely slaps. And I want it to be good. It just isn't. But the 3 ground types that are particularly standout for me in Kanto are Nidoqueen. Specifically Nidoqueen, because I used to pick Nidoking every time, and every time it failed me. Every time I've picked Nidoqueen since then, she's done great. So Nidoqueen is my choice out of the 2 big Nidos. And I will say the statement that, I'm sorry Nidoking, you've got a cracked design and an amazing shiny. But my fucking god... why do you never work? Nidoqueen just does better. I don't know why, she just does. So, Nidoqueen, very, very good choice. I always have a Nidoqueen on my team in Kanto, I will say. I always have one on the team. I kind of use her as a steel type, honestly, because Kanto, you're going to get poisoned a lot because of the massive amount of poison types. And she's really good against poison. Because obviously she's a poison type, so it can't be poisoned. She's also a ground type, so she's super effective against poison. And quad resistant to poison. She's a really, really good choice against it. So I kind of use her as a steel type. So yeah, Nidoqueen, absolute beast of a Pokemon. Also learned Surf, very fun. I end up using Nidoqueen as a mixed Pokemon a lot of the time. And she was also an absolute MVP on my mono ground type run of Kanto. She got me through the grass gym really easily. But yeah, Nidoqueen, absolute beast. Do love her. She's great. The other choice, which was my original ground type, my original beat the game ground type in Kanto, was Marowak. I've always been a huge fan of Marowak. I love its design. I love how it works. I like the Bone Club doubling its attack to effectively give it huge power. It just slaps. I really, really do like it. Also, another absolute all-star on my Mono Ground type run in Kanto. All three of these were absolute all-stars on Mono Ground type, I will say. But yeah, Marowak is an absolute unit of a Pokemon. Really good. You can make it very special defensive as well. That's how I built it. I think I built it kind of all around. Like, give it a little bit of speed, but not a lot. Give it a lot of special defense because it was one of the few not rock ground types on my team in Kanto. So I needed something that actually has not a quad weakness to water or ice. Because for reference, when I did the monotype run, we were allowed. Basically, we had any 3-stage ground type mon of our type on the table to pick which we random rolled, and my random roll gave me Gibble. So I was quad weak to ice, but Gibble but Garchomp is the strongest Pokemon. Is a way stronger Pokemon than anything that's not a legendary in Gen 1. So Garchomp kind of hard carried that run. But a lot of the others did do work in their own rate. And Marowak was a very big one for just powering through, like, middleweight, like, water types and grass types and things. That I didn't have to use Garchomp for, essentially. Because Garchomp did, obviously, a shitload of work on everything. She almost didn't die. I don't think Garchomp actually went down at any point in my run. But Marowak put in a lot of work and made it so I didn't need to throw Goober in a bad situation, which was important. But yeah, Marowak is an absolute all-star, which I do love. The other one is Rhydon. The OG Pokemon. The actual first Pokemon ever designed, I believe. Or at least one of them. I believe it might have been the first one, or it was at least the first one that was, like, shown to, like, this is our idea. I believe it was, like, the testbed one. Which I think, it's a great one, because Rhydon is a really cool Pokemon. It's iconic. In a weird way, it's iconic, right? It's an absolute powerhouse, and it's known to be a strong Pokemon. It's one of those just well-known strong Pokemon. It is the ace of Team Rocket's leader, Giovanni, after all. Who is a great villain. One of the best villains in Pokemon. And yeah, it also gets an evolution later, which its evolution was an all-star in my Monotype ground run. Because basically I got Rhydon and then immediately evolved it to Rhyperior. Because I really love Rhyperior. As well. That mod is so good. But yes, so out of these three for the ground type, it is close. I do genuinely like all three of them. I have used all three of them in playthroughs. I've used all three of them in various points in playthroughs as well. But I would say if I had to pick just one, I would probably go Rhydon. Does this one have a gender form switch? No. I really do like Rhydon. Rhydon is just awesome. Very cool Pokemon, generally. I like its design. I like the chunky monster that it is. I just like it. And I always had a soft spot for rhinos. I always liked rhinos. Rhinos were one of my favorite animals as a kid. So. Yeah. Rhydon, great mon. Now let's do some honorable mentions. Mons that are also, like, very much in contention to be on this list, but aren't actually on the list. Also, I've just realized we're like 45 minutes in, and we're still on Kanto. So, other honorable mentions. Obviously, I told you already, Nidoqueen and Marowak, big honorable mentions. They easily could be on the list, but I went for slightly different ones for various reasons. Arcanine and Ninetales, same exact thing. I absolutely love the pair of them. Very much honorable mentions that could very easily be on this list. I'm going to have a couple of extra ones here that everyone would expect to be... Oh, yeah, also, yeah. Gyarados and Lapras, once again, honorable mentions. They are great and almost do make the list. They are really cool. I absolutely love them. Have used them in playthroughs. Like, all of these I've used in playthroughs. They give honorable mentions. Same with Tentacruel. Tentacruel is a bit less of an honorable mention because it was going to lose out because it has 3 Pokemon better than it. For my vote. Same with Cloyster. Now let's get to the honorable mentions that didn't actually make it, which were still potentially in contention. Machamp. Big honorable mention. I do really like Machamp. It is a very fun mon. No guard, obviously. It is really, really cool. It's an absolute powerhouse. Huge attack stat as well. Kind of slow, though. A bit slow for me. Tauros. Another honorable mention, which is I do really like Tauros. Absolute bitch to catch, though, in Kanto. Which is one of the major reasons why it's not on here. Same with Chansey. I do like both these, and Pinsir. I genuinely like these Pokemon. They are very, very good, very, very cool. Very good normal types. Same with Snorlax as well, the big 3 normal types for Kanto. They're all very cool, they're all very good. They've all got a various reason. Chansey and Chansey doesn't really play how I like to play in Pokemon. She's obviously really, really good. I don't like going the kind of, like, super defensive, supporty vibe, at least not in a proper playthrough. And I'm more likely to use a Pokemon that can actually do some damage as well. Like, obviously, you can Seismic Toss with Chansey and do some damage. But I don't like really defensive ones. Snorlax, I've tried using Snorlax in a playthrough. I just don't enjoy using Snorlax in a playthrough. It's fun to use in competitive. Like, in actual battles, I've gone, oh yeah, Snorlax is really fun to use. In a playthrough, it's just really aggravating, considering how much damage you're just going to take. Because it's really slow, it's got no physical defense. Like, it's got massive special defense, which is really nice. But it just takes a while to get it going, it's going to get worn down, even if it does a lot of work. So yeah. And Tauros, mostly you're a bitch to catch, honestly. You're just too aggravating to be worth catching a lot. But you are very cool, and I do very much like the Pokemon still. Now for me to hurt a few friends of mine. I'm really sorry, Gengar. I do love you. You are probably the second pick for this. You are the most honorable of all the honorable mentions on this entire list. Genuinely. I really like Gengar, and I was going, oh, do I put Gengar on the team, or do I put this one? It was like, well, I do love Gengar a lot, but I'm more likely to use this other one for clarity, specifically in a playthrough reason. But I absolutely love both of them so much. The Gengar I probably prefer out of the 2 Pokemon generally, but you know, it's for the game. You gotta do certain things, right? And particularly, I've got a particular one of this is my team for Kanto because of just what it does, right? Because it's the game I always associate, and this is what I do for my playthrough. But I do really, really love Gengar. It's an awesome Pokemon. And I love it. What other one? There is another one. That's an honorable mention. Kangaskhan's also an honorable mention. I do like Kangaskhan quite a bit. It's fine. There's stronger ones, but I do genuinely like it. I've used it on playthroughs before in Kanto. Another bitch to catch one, but I don't know, it always felt easier to catch than Tauros. I don't know. Don't know about you. Another honorable mention, Scyther. Kind of Butterfree and Beedrill as well. I do like the Kanto bugs a lot. And they were used on my original playthroughs as well. But Beedrill was actually on my champion team originally. Mostly because it had all my HMs on it. Or most of them. I think it had Rock, Smash, and Cut at least, which I always liked having all the HMs just available in case I wanted to fuck around. Scyther, obviously, just awesome Pokemon. Same with Butterfree. I really, really like all of them. They're great. But there's one thing which I did say earlier is really notably good in Kanto. It is flying types. And I don't like Dragonite, obviously. So what other really big, really uber powerful flying type is there that isn't a legendary? Pidgeot, I do like you a lot. You're not an honorable mention, though. Like, I do like you. You're cool. Pharaoh, don't make me laugh. Golbat, if you're Crobat, maybe. I really like Crobat. Golbat itself, it's okay. Venomoth can go kind of hard, even though it's a bug and not a flying type, but still. But the last one, you're going to go with a fossil for me. Aerodactyl. Absolutely love Aerodactyl. And the big reason that gets it, even though I prefer Gengar as a Pokemon, I do love Aerodactyl. The design is absolutely cracked. I prefer the design of Aerodactyl, I will say. But and I'm a dinosaur fan, so. Even if it's not a dinosaur, I know it's a Pteranodon, but still. If you're playing a playthrough of Pokemon, you kind of want your HM mons to do things, right? And Aerodactyl was my fly mon. It generally was. Aerodactyl was my mon with fly in Kanto, because I don't like putting HMs on Charizard. Was a big one. If I can avoid putting an HM on Charizard, I would. So, yeah. So yeah, I would go Aerodactyl instead. For my flying type. It's also quite a good mon, just generally. Like, Aerodactyl is very good. It's, I think, the joint fastest mon in Kanto. With Jolt... Actually, no. Outside of Voltorb is the Electrode is the fastest. But I think it and Jolteon are the second fastest. Joint second fastest. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% on that, but I think they are. And yeah, they're all good. And that would be my Kanto team picks. Yeah, we only did, like, it only took us an hour to get through the first game. But yeah. Second game. We are going to go Hot Gold, Soul Silver for Gen 2. Now, Gen 2 has some absolute winners. But I will specifically say, even though there is a lot of Gen 1 Pokemon in here, I will not be picking any Gen 1 Pokemon on this list. I will be sticking purely to the Johto mons. I'll have to speed up a little bit on this. I did a lot for Kanto. I've played Kanto the most, though, so I have particularly strong feelings about it. But I will scan through for various mods just to go, oh, this is the one. So you got to start with a starter, and I will say Johto has amazing starters. It's actually a lot closer, Johto, for me, than Kanto. Kanto, I love Charizard. The other two are both good. Like, I think the other two, I think Blastoise and Venusaur are both good starters. If you saw my starter video, you know I gave them both pretty good reviews. But I do think, for me personally, I massively prefer, overall, the Johtos. Charizard outranks all of the Johto starters by a mile. But I do think that all three of the Johto starters absolutely slap. Meganium is bad, but I love it. Fraligator is, as I said before, is one of my two favorite water starters of all time. But it does get outranked by my fire-type starter in the region, my Typhlosion. I do like Typhlosion a lot. It's great. It's a classic. You gotta go with it. And I'd say I like the starter. It's a pain in the ass to get to the point because Quillavra is really bad. Cyndaquil is really cute, but not great. But Typhlosion itself is worth the effort. So yeah, Typhlosion. Honorable mentions, I'll give them if I'm just going past them. I really love Noctowl, and I really love Ferret. They are awesome Pokemon. I do really like them. Unfortunately, they're not making the team this time. I have used both of them in either competitive in the case of Ferret, or in playthroughs regularly with Noctowl. They are good, and I use them a lot. Noctowl is a very good early game Pokemon that I use quite a lot in Johto, I will say. It is honestly one of my most common Pokemon picks for early Johto. Ferret, I love it, but I don't really pick it in playthroughs. Ariados, do love you, buddy. I love my spiders. They're all great. And Crobat. We might come back to Crobat. I haven't decided yet. But there is actually a very, very, very noteworthy thing for me about Johto. Johto has one of my favorite electric type lines ever And I don't get to use electric types very often because most electric types suck, as I told about it, because electric type is my least favorite overall type in Pokemon. But I can't ignore the line when it's there, right? I love Mareep, I love Flaffy, but it's not quite as cool as Mareep. Mareep is peak. But I love Ampharos so much. So Ampharos, you are an easy pick on my team. Good, let's get you the actual type show up. Come on. Or is it breaking? I know the site's confused. There we go. I absolutely love Ampharos. It's my little lightning sheep. One of my favorite electric types of all time. And I'm gonna use it if I get a chance, right? I do love it. Ampharos is always on my Johto team. It is just a go-to. I said, not allowed to pick Gengar because it's not Gen 1. Steelix is on the board, though. I might come back to Steelix again later. Like, Johto, I actually love a lot of Johto Pokemon. They have some absolute winners in Johto that people really underestimate. Steelix I've came around to Steelix. It's because I'd only had bad Steelix experiences until I actually had a legit good one in my mono ground type run. I had a legitimately good Steelix, and it was a powerhouse. It did so much work, so I do love it. I like Jumpluff. Jumpluff's definitely honorable mention. I have a fondness for them on. Not gonna pick it on it, but I do have a bit of a soft spot for them on. Slowking, you're massively better than Slowbro. I didn't even talk about Slowbro because I hate Slowbro. Slowking, though, Slowking is cool. Not what I'm picking, but it is cool. Yanmega, you're not Gen 2. Sorry. You're a Gen 4 mon. I do really like you, but you are a Gen 4 mon. There we go. This is a mon that I will definitely put on this list, though. I will abso-fucking-lutely put this mon on the list. My favorite Steel type from Gen 2, which is really saying something, because Gen 2 has some absolute winners for Steel types. You gotta have your Scizor, right? Scizor absolutely slaps. Does it have a Gen Switch? No, it doesn't. The Steel Bug type, really, really cool mon. Absolute beast in combat. And I always love using it. This is also a reason why Scyther wasn't on the list. I like Scyther a lot. I massively prefer Scizor. It's just so cool, right? It's one of the two probably most iconic mons from Gen 2. It's also probably one of the two best mons from Gen 2. Speaking of best mons from Gen 2, let's skip ahead a little bit to a certain Pokemon which I'm very fond of. Everybody knows it's one of my top 10 and my favorite Gen 2 Pokemon. And gotta be honest, I love it. It was my pseudo legendary. It was very briefly my second favorite Pokemon ever. Very briefly, admittedly, but I can't not put it here. You gotta have it. I have this on the team every single time. Also, yeah, no legendaries, so no Celebi. Sorry, Celebi. But we gotta have my big stompy monster itself, Tyranitar, my favorite Pokemon from Gen 2. The absolute behemoth, the Godzilla. Oh, I love it. Every single time I play in Johto, I will have a Tyranitar on the team. Every time. Unless I'm going in a monotype run, in which case I can't have Tyranitar. But I love Tyranitar. One of my favorite rock types. One of my two favorite rock types in existence. Probably one of my favorite dark types in existence. Oh. And my favorite non-dragon pseudo-legendary as well. Like, big respect to T-Tar. It beats a fair few of the dragon types. It doesn't beat my favorite couple of dragons, but Tyranitar is a very respectable one, and I absolutely love it. The king of Johto, to me. It's my favorite mon in Johto. And will always go on the team. So, now we got the last two. What other cool Johto mons are there? I love Corsola so much, but it's not going on the list. It's another honorable mention because I do really like it, and I want to use it. It's actually one of the reasons I want either water or rock in Johto for my monotype run. Because I would prefer rock. Rock would be my ideal choice for monotype in Johto, because I can get Tyranitar and Corsola, which would be pretty sick. But there's a saying, which I've got. If you've got the option to pick an evolution, you're probably going to pick an evolution. And I will comfortably say Espeon is one of my favourite evolutions. And I was saying I did say it in the last part of the video. I like my super fast psychic type. And Espeon is one of my absolute top choices for super fast psychic type. One of my favourite evolutions. Probably top 3. Top 3 or 4. It's definitely top, actually, yeah, definitely top 4, maybe top 3. My favourite is Glaceon. The second place is probably Leafeon. Vaporeon and Espeon I like a lot, and they're probably the next ones. I just really like Espeon's design. Obviously, I like how it works because it's really fast and it hits really hard. That's all it does, and I respect it. Also has Magic Bounce. Magic Bounce is hilarious. If you see me playing in certain tiers of Pokemon in competitive, you see me have an Espeon on the team because Magic Bounce. But I also just really like them all. Okay, for our final pick, I hate Hitmontop. I don't like the Hitmon line in general, and Hitmontop is my least favorite of the line, so it can go fuck itself. Delibird, I'm sorry, buddy, but no. Piloswine, I do really like Piloswine. I genuinely do. I absolutely love them on. And it's very much an honorable mention on the list. Same with Ursaring. I really like Ursaring. But Ursaring, for me, in recent years, has moved up a lot. Because it was a Pokemon that I've said for ages, it needed an evolution to be interesting. And it got one. Sneasel and Mischievous, I love you both, and you know I do. I absolutely adore these Pokemon. They're both really, really cool. But they're not quite there. I don't really like Gramble. I fucking hate Apom. So we're not getting that thing on the team. That can go fuck itself. What do we want as our last one? I don't like... I know I have respect for Azumarill, but I don't like it. I'm sorry to one of my friends who, again, I'm making another friend sad. I'm not picking Girafarig. Now, I'm not picking Shuckle even for the memes, as fun as it is. I'm not picking Umbreon as much as I do like it. We could do the lamp. Lantern's fun. This one is actually quite tricky. Because, again, I do like a lot of these. See, Gen 2's not got that many Pokemon, but the ones it gets are really, really cool. But yeah, I think it comes down to... I'm just kidding. I don't mind Miltank. I think Miltank could be a lot better, but it could be a lot worse. I've never really had a problem with Whitney. So I don't have the same issue that a lot of people have. The one thing I will absolutely say, its design definitely could be better. But I don't think it's abysmal. I don't think it's a good design, but I think there's a lot worse. Mantine is cool. I've always kind of wanted to use a Mantine. I never have. Skarmory is obviously great. Houndoom is obviously cool. Magcargo, I have a bit of a soft spot for Magcargo, but it's not getting on here. Donphan, I do love Donphan. I've said for ages, I really, really like Donphan. The fish can go fuck itself. I'd say, yeah, comfortably, the 6th spot is between 2. It's between Crobat and Steelix. I will say. I think those two are head and shoulders above the rest, even though there's a lot of other really good ones on here. I think that the two that really stand out are Crobat and Steelix. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna give it slightly to Crobat. I think also, that is a really cool team, genuinely. I like that team a lot. Look at it. It's good. It's actually, I think, fairly well balanced. Team analysis. This site is not very fast today. I think that's a ground weakness. Yeah, it's definitely a ground weakness. Yeah, we got a fair bit of coverage. We've got nothing for ground, but we can get some stuff, I'm sure. No resistances to rock, but honestly, Scizor and Tyranitar between them, while they don't resist rock, they don't really care about being hit by it either. Yeah, I think that team is pretty good all round. Yeah, that is my Gen 2 Pokemon's pick team. So, now to get into the fun stuff. I will go Omega. I'm not picking Megas, by the way, as well. I will not pick Mega Pokemon when they come up. Is this site really lagging that badly? It is lagging really badly. Okay. So, I'm not going to pick Megas if the Pokemon has a Mega. Even if the Pokemon itself is on this list, I'm not going to pick a Mega. Okay? Because technically, yes, Megas did come in like, Gen 6 and things. So, you obviously want to put Pokemon towards what Megas they are. But, here's the special point. Gen 6, there's one Mega for a Gen 6 Pokemon. And it's a mythical. Which counts as a legendary. Which means, no. Not allowed it on the list. So, yeah. So, we are in Gen 3. My second ever Pokemon game was Pokemon Emerald. We're going in the Omegas. It doesn't really matter, but fuck it. It just looks slightly prettier, right? We get to look at more Pokemon. So, let's start off with a bang. Yes, in my original playthrough, because I went in blind to Pokemon Emerald, I did pick Trico as my starter. Because the only one I knew out of them was Trico. It evolved into Grovyle, which I was really hyped for, because Grovyle was cool. Then it turned into Sceptile, it was like, it's okay. And then I saw what Blaziken looked like. So, yeah. Blaziken, you're on the list. I will say, Swampert does slap. And I don't blame anyone for picking it. Also, yeah, this is actually one of the ones that does have a difference. Because I believe Blaziken male has, like, bigger spikes on his head and longer hair. See, you can see the difference. Subtle, but I kind of like it, honestly. And yeah, Blaziken, Swampert is good, but it is a friend of mine's ace Pokemon. So I'm obliged to hate the thing. Not really hate it, but you know what I mean. It is their Pokemon, and it's not my pick, right? If I will never pick a Pokemon that I associate with one of my friends as this is one of my Pokemon. I associate a friend of mine with this Pokemon, so this is their Pokemon. Same with Gengar and the Frigiraffe line and hilariously Beedrill. They're the ones I associate with them. If I'm going to pick it for an extremely important slot, I won't. Weirdly, I actually don't know anybody who uses Blaziken as their like main Pokemon. It's a good mon, but there's I have loads of friends that I associate certain Pokemon with. Hilariously, a new friend of mine, a friend of mine who I met fairly recently, who I've been playing the Legends of Sinnoh board game with. I associate them with Volcarona, because they caught Volcarona pretty much immediately. Which was pretty sick. Like, really early in the game, they got a Volcarona. So, they're actually after all the legendary birds at the moment in that game, which is pretty fun. They've caught all the Kanto birds. They're actually going for, either the Galarian birds or... Hilariously, in that game, the two extra legendary birds they have of Altaria and Skeledirge. Classic legendary bird material there. The legendary birds, basically, in that board game, have a mechanic where the more song moves your team has, the more powerful the song moves of the legendary birds get. Altaria gets Perish Song, and obviously Skeledirge gets Torch Song, so they apply the buffs as well, which is pretty funny. But yeah, gotta go Blaziken. It is, as I've said before, my third favourite starter of all time. It only is beaten out by Charizard, my favourite, and Skeledirge, who's a really recent addition. So, we gotta go Blaziken. Blaziken is cracked. My webcam broke again. Working. I think it's just my computer's dying, generally. Okay. So, Blaziken. Great mon, everybody knows it. So remember, I've talked about this a lot, that Alakazam was my original super fast, sweeping, psychic type Pokemon, which is always nice to just have on the team. And gave me just oh, I want this type of Pokemon on the team. I just want something that's fast, hits really hard, psychic type special attacker, right? I tend to go quite physical heavy on my teams, so having something that has that job works really well, right? And so then I saw this thing. Really early catch, my first catch Pokemon in Gen 3. Because I actually saw one really, really early. I saw one by, like, accident. And I went, oh, I want one of those because it's really cool. Was a Ralts. It was a female Ralts. I evolved it into Curlier very quickly. I was like, oh, this is quite a cool mod. They turned into Gardevoir. And I loved Gardevoir. Again, it had the really powerful psychic type special attacker. And then in more recent years, they've just buffed her even further. Into the psychic fairy type. So easy choice, pick Gardevoir. Gardevoir is pretty much always on my Hoenn teams. In general. She's really, really good. I will, in fact, pick the shiny as well. I love shiny Gardevoir. You know, I'll pick shiny Blaziken as well, because shiny Blaziken is pretty cool. It does not look good in this picture, though. It actually goes, like, burnished red instead, but, yeah. But I do like shiny Gardevoir. I technically could get a shiny Gardevoir, but because I have a shiny Ralts, but it's a male Ralts, so I'm going to evolve it into a Gallade when I get around to it. In Pokemon Scarlet, specifically. But yeah, Gardevoir is always on my Hoenn teams, again, outside of Monotype runs. Let's go Monotype Psychic, which would be an absolutely cracked Monotype to get in Hoenn. Hoenn has two types that are probably the best types to get for the region. Maybe 3. Steel type's pretty cracked as well. It's probably the big ones that I can think though are Dragon. Oh yeah, that was another point. Obviously, yeah, there was honorable mention to Kingdra. I quite often had a Kingdra in Johto. Johto's only Dragon. But I still think I'm happy with Crobat. But yeah, Dragon, Psychic, and Steel are probably the 3 types that you really, really want in Hoenn. Water's obviously great as well. But yeah. Anyway, let's get to our next Pokemon. So, I have a soft spot for a particular Hoenn Pokemon that's not very good. So, Blaziken is very good. Gardevoir is very good. Everybody knows that, right? This next Pokemon, it's good. It's not very good, though. But it is good. I also will say honorable mention to Mawile. I love Mawile so much. But without Mega Mawile kind of sucks. Let's be honest here. I do love Mawile. It's just not good without Mega Mawile. This next one is also not very good without its Mega. But I will regularly use it in Hoenn because it's a very fun one to use. Aggron, get on here. People know I love this mon so much. I don't know what shiny Aggron even looks like. Oh, yeah, it goes blue, doesn't it? Which is alright. I am a big fan of Aggron. It's not very good. Steel Rock is a terrible type combo. But I do genuinely like my steel types. And I've always loved Aggron's design. And honestly, its abilities and things are really good. Its stats are decent as well. It could certainly have better. The biggest weakness for Aggron is its typing. Without its typing, it would be significantly better. But it looks amazing. It's got a brilliant moveset. It's got a weird moveset. It's got, like, Gen 1 privilege. It learns, like, Thunder, Blizzard, Fire Blast, and all that stuff for some reason. It really shouldn't. But yeah. Aggron. I do love it. Next up, we gotta go for it, right? So, as much as I love you, Spinder, you're garbage, but I love you. Altaria, great mod. Another honorable mention. Cradilly, another honorable mention. But, I will say, there's a mod in Hoenn that is almost impossible to get. An absolute pain in the ass. You already all know where this is going. But is one of my 2 favorite water types of all time. I am a huge fan of this mod. And is always on my Hoenn team, regardless of how hard it is to get. Genuinely. I love the mod a lot. It is an absolute powerhouse, obviously, and is my water type of choice. And is also a mon featured on my favorite trainer and my favorite character in Pokemon, Cynthia's team. It's very famous. You know what I'm talking about. One of my 2 favorite water types of all time. My beloved Milotic, who also does have a gender switch, which I didn't realize. The hair is longer on the female one. But I like the hair longer on the female one. I think it just looks better. God of, yeah, my Milotic. I actually have a shiny Milotic as well. The shiny's not bad for Milotic, but I think I prefer the regular color scheme. Like, see, it is good, but I like the blue. Like, I like the hair better on shiny Milotic. And the eye changes to blue. I like that better. The tail I like better on the main one, and the tail is very large. So, yeah, Milotic is always my water type in Hoenn. There's some good water types in Hoenn as well, like the Sharpedo is a really good one that I really like. I don't mind Whiscash, honestly. It's alright. Obviously, there's Swampert. There's Ludicolo, who's awesome. Very funny. Not my type of Pokemon, but very funny. So, yeah. Now, looking at this team, a lot of people would wonder, oh, what's your, what's my last 2 picks? Surely there's some weird things, like maybe, maybe a Flygon is on there, which I do love Flygon. People know I love Flygon. Altaria, I've already said Altaria is an honorable mention, but maybe it's Seviper. I do like Seviper. Maybe it's Banette, which literally shares my name. Maybe it's Absol. Loads of people love Absol. I don't mind Absol. Glady's okay, I guess. There's some fun ones on here, right? Obviously, people know I love Lunatone for no particular reason. I just like them on. Sorok's alright as well. I've regularly said Dragon types, cracked in Hoenn. Hoenn is the first gen that you can actually get a full team of Dragon types in. You need to include a Legendary. And obviously, Legendaries are banned, so I can't have one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, Rayquaza, on this list. However, I specifically... Oh, and also, yeah, there's Latias as well, who I love, and you can regularly get. I do love Latias a lot. Again, another one of my favorite Legendaries. Latios, her brother, is also pretty cool. Kyogre and Groudon, again, two of my absolute favorites. But Gen 3 does have something quite unique to it. Gen 3 has 2 pseudo-legendaries that also happen to be 2 of my favorite Pokemon. Salamence is my 4th favorite Pokemon of all time, and was my original favorite pseudo-legendary before Garchomp. Before I got to actually play around with Garchomp. I love Salamence a lot. I will always have a soft spot for it. Another absolute beast that was on my team in my first ever foray into anything even vaguely competitive for Pokemon, which was the Lost Cause Draft League. My final pick of my team was a Salamence, Ruina, of my big 6 Pokemon. Ruina the Salamence, who was very, very strong with a like Tailwind, offensive, decent setup. I had a lot of fun with her. And yeah, I absolutely love Salamence. And Salamence is, again, always on my team in Hoenn. I do love this mon. And my final choice for Hoenn, I did say there are 2 pseudo-legendaries. And one of my favorite steel types, which is a very, very high honor considering how many steel types I like. And I'll obviously make him shiny. Metagross, shiny Metagross, if possible, if it's allowing me. It doesn't like it on this one. But yeah, Metagross is another one. I ran both these pseudo-legendaries in. Because I believe you can get Metagross before post-game in Emerald specifically. I think. I remember I had one. I can't remember if I caught it post-game or not. It's been a very long time. Okay? But I love Metagross a lot. It's an absolute powerhouse, obviously. It's a beast. And it's just sick, honestly. I love Salamence and Metagross a lot. Metagross, again, just awesome. It used to be particularly strong as well. Before they added Fairy type to the game, this thing was almost immune to almost everything. Genuinely. Because Ghost and Dark types were neutral on it, because back in the day, Steel used to resist Dark and Ghost. Which made this thing almost impossible to crack. It was only actively weak to Fire and Ground, I think. Back in the day. Nowadays, the type is... Steel Psychic isn't quite as powerful as it was, because it's harder to resist those two types of Dark and Ghost, which are obvious counters to Psychic. But, yeah. It is very much of note, and I do very much still just adore Metagross a lot. Oh, I don't think anyone is ever unhappy to have Metagross on the team, right? It is a bitch to catch. This thing is the same difficulty to catch as things like Mewtwo. It has, I think, the lowest catch rate of any non-legendary Pokemon in the entirety of Pokemon. And it has the lowest catch rate that it's possible to get in Pokemon. So, it's pretty brutal, but my god is Metagross worth it. Now, for Platinum. Platinum's an interesting one because a bunch of my favorite Pokemon come from here. But the thing about Platinum, which is very unique, the vast majority of Platinum's dex is legendaries. So, it's fun to note there. A lot of Gen 4 is legendaries or retooling versions of previous gens. But there are some absolute powerhouses that are unique to it. I need to stop saying absolute powerhouses. Anyway, let's start up with an obvious one. People know I fucking hate Infernape. Napoleon's pretty cool, I guess. But one of my two favorite grass starters is Gen 4. I really, really, really like Torterra. So, Torterra, go on to the team. I do genuinely love this mon. It's a really fun mon to use. Particularly nowadays, now they actually gave it Shell Smash. Shell Smash Torterra is horrifying to use. Let me say that outright. I love this mon. It's big, it's fast with Shell Smash. Unfortunately, it does give me a very notable, which will very much continue, ice weakness on my Sinnoh team. But I will say as well, Sinnoh is my favorite region. Is one of my two favorite regions with Paldea. It earns it as well. Mostly because of specific Pokemon that exists in the region. But I genuinely think that Gen 4 just kind of slaps with what it added to the game. Didn't add a lot, but what it did add was good. So yes, Torterra. Now, I believe this mon was added in Gen 4. So I will say a lot of the Gen 4 mons will probably be the evolution. There will be a couple which will be evolutions here. From previous gens. But I do really like Roserade. I didn't really talk about Roselia in Gen 3, because Roselia itself is alright. I wasn't a huge fan. Roserade was very, very, very cool, and I was a massive fan of the update to it. It just looks really good. And it's really powerful as well, so. I think its moveset kind of sucks without TMs and stuff, but I do really like Roserade, and it's a fun mon. So it's definitely on the we'll wait and see. I talked about Bastiodon and Rampardos. I'm not the biggest fan of either of them. They're both fine, but I'm not going to put them on the team. Sorry. But there is one mon which you can get very quickly in Sinnoh that I am a particularly big fan of. I used it in my first competitive Pokemon that wasn't the Draft League. I could very easily have put it on the team in the draft league, and I probably would have nowadays because of what I was building. I was building a Sandstorm team. Oh yeah, also, I will say, Sinnoh, if I get ground type in the monotype runs that I'm eventually going to get back to doing, probably on my new PC, I will say. Ground type is the type to get in Sinnoh. It really is. There is no competing with how good ground type is compared to all the others in Sinnoh. So, what we're going to get? We're going to get West Sea Gastrodon. Which is specifically, I've started liking... I like this Gastrodon a bit more because, one, it's the one I got originally. It's the first one I caught up with Gastrodon. And also, Gastrodon is West Sea Gastrodon is Cynthia's. So I have a bit more of a fondness for it. Also, I can't... Honestly, the blue one looks great as a colour scheme. I do like all the colours. It kind of hurts my eyes to look at after too long. So, yeah, the little more muted colours, which gives it a bit of a different colour scheme. Yeah, I do like the West Sea Gastrodon a little bit more. Generally. It's always the one I pick, as well. I don't think they're any different besides colour. It's just that, you know. Next up. We can't not, right? Let's not beat around the bush, hey? There's a very obvious choice that we have to put on the team. My ace Pokemon, my go-to, the Pokemon that has never actively let me down in Pokemon. It has always come out, and if I'm backed against the wall in a Pokemon game, and I'm only down to this Pokemon, there's still a chance. I will never bet against Garchomp. Gooba the Garchomp, my ace, get on the team. Yeah, she is. I don't think there's a gender switch, yeah. I love my Garchomp. Everybody knows I love my Garchomp. One of my joint 3 favourite Pokemon, and probably the one I'd go overall if... It's the one I had to, like, go... You pick your favourite Pokemon, just do it. I would honestly probably go Garchomp out of them. But genuinely, Charizard, Rayquaza, and Garchomp are all perfectly joint in my head. But I love Garchomp so much. It's my competitive Pokemon of choice. My first pick in the draft league, and it's just my ace Pokemon. It is. It is known to be in my fan group. This is the Pokemon that I am associated with by the people who know me, who play Pokemon with me. They know me by Garchomp. It is the Pokemon that everyone goes, yeah, this is the one. This is Bane's Pokemon. In the same way that I associate various people with particular Pokemon, this is the one I associate with me. You will see me with a Garchomp on my team in any opportunity I get. But not in this one. In this particular mode, we're only allowed to have Garchomp in one region, and that is Gen 4. So we're putting it in Gen 4. Okay. Next up, we're getting a bit more interesting now. Is Hippowdon really Gen 4? For some reason, I thought that thing was Gen 5. I will say, yeah, Milotic would regularly be on this team in an actual playthrough. But, once again, we can't pick it because Gen 3 Pokemon. Though one Pokemon we will do, even though it's technically post-game, right? Technically post-game. There is a very notable Mon in this region. Not a legendary. Actually, I don't think it's post-game. I don't remember. I know it's in the expansion because it's technically Platinum. But you should always play Platinum for Gen 4, genuinely. There is one very, very notable Mon that I will say. Even though it's not as good, it's not crazy good, my personal favourite evolution is in Gen 4. Glaceon, not a great evolution in terms of how powerful it is, but it's my favourite. Okay, it is my favourite of all evolutions. One of my favourite ice types as well. Probably my favourite ice type. I can't remember what I actually voted for my favourite ice type. I think it might have been Glaceon. But I love Glaceon so much. It's easily my favorite evolution, and people know I love the evolutions. I'm a huge evolution fan. But Glaceon is the top spot of the evolutions for me personally. I love her design. I actually love her stats, honestly. People really shit on Glaceon because it's slow and tanky, and it's defensive. It's got a massive special attack stat, but it's slow and sturdy as an ice type, which is a thing they kept doing of ice types don't make good defensive mons. They just don't. They have too many weaknesses, and they only resist ice itself. But with Snow in Gen 9, certainly usable. And Glaceon's abilities also go off the weather, which is another bit. So, yeah. Glaceon's abilities go off the weather, but it doesn't have the thin niche that Leafeon does, where Leafeon gets chlorophyll, which makes it super fast in the sun. Glaceon gets more evasive or heals in the snow. Or hail, I guess, in the older games. Which is decent, because she's sturdy. She's not got a lot of health, though. So, kind of lose that, but I do love Glaceon so much. And Glaceon is on my gym leader team. Well, my gym challenger team, I guess. And I'm not upset about it. She's not crazy good, but she is very fun, and she's certainly usable, and I just love it. I also have a shiny Glaceon in Pokemon Scarlet. I actively shiny hunted the Glaceon because I love the Pokemon so much. Okay. Now another mon. I will say, this mon isn't very powerful as well. I will outright state this. It's not a particularly powerful mon, but I do like it. The Mega is way better, I will say. The Mega is insanely good. But the base mon, it's known for one thing and one thing only. That's not the reason it's going on this list. Even though you will definitely be saying sus, considering that I have also put Vaporeon and Gardevoir on the list as well. And spoiler for Gen 8, Hatterini's going on the list as well. But I genuinely like Lopunny. I like using Lopunny. I originally did it in PokeMMO to just go, well, this Pokemon is obviously memed to fuck because, like, hot rabbit, right? Like, it's furry rabbit. But I was like, is this Pokemon actually decent in any way? Or is it literally just fanfic material? Actually, legitimately, Lopunny's pretty good. Honestly, I've used Lopunny a fair bit in Platinum, in specifically PokeMMO. Lopunny does work. Mostly due to the fact you can get, like, high jump kick and acrobatics. So you can get high jump kick, acrobatics, and return. So it's got 3 over 100 plus power moves at level, like, 10. Which is kind of insane. It gets Limber as its normal ability, or it gets Klutz. Klutz sucks, by the way, but the fact that it gets Klutz means you've not really got any negative for putting acrobatics on your Pokemon. So, yeah, genuinely quite cool. Honestly, I think if I'd run it nowadays, I would run Lopunny. If I was using non-Mega Lopunny, because Mega Lopunny absolutely slaps. I genuinely adore Mega Lopunny so much. And that, honestly, on its own is a reason to put regular Lopunny as a really good spot. But if I'd run it nowadays, I'd probably go Fake Out Lopunny with Acrobatics, honestly, probably Close Combat. And Return's not in the game anymore. So maybe Facade or something like that. Or Double Edge, I don't know. Some really hard-hitting normal move. Like, Facade's probably a decent one for it. In case he gets burned. Because she's a bit paralysis with Limber. So. But yeah, I generally love Lopunny. I actually like using the Pokemon. It's very fun. As for our final Pokemon, again, there's some really good choices on this list. Weavile, obviously amazing. Leafeon, another evolution. And probably my second favorite evolution. One of my favorite ones to use in battle as well. I have wrecked people with my choice band Leafeon, and people have seen me do it. Never underestimate how good Leafeon can be on the with the right amount of, like, bit. Choice band Chlorophyll, Max Attack, Solar Blade, Leafeon in the sun will demolish most things. Obviously, there's Mamoswine, which is absolutely monstrous. There's Togekiss, who's really cool. I've not particularly used Togekiss before, but I really want to. Rhyperior, who people know I love Rhyperior because I used it in my monotype run for Kanto in ground because I was in Pokemon mode, so I could actually evolve to get a map to get Rhyperior. There is Magnezone, who's also very cool. Dusk Noir, who's very cool. People know I've not got particularly good feelings about Magmortar and Electivire. Let's be honest. Hippodon, pretty cool. Lucario, everyone's favorite. Not really mine. They do get Cynthia points, which is a plus, but I've never been hugely on Lucario myself, personally. Miss Magius, very, very cool. Fuck you, Ambipom. Yeah. So what are we going to put as the other one? Well, there's a funny point about Gen 4. Is that Gen 4 added, I think, my top 2 favorite ice types. Not just my top number 1. If memory serves, I will say. I'm trying to think back. But there's another ice type that I absolutely adore that they did add in Gen 4. Frostlass. I fucking adore Frostlass. One of my favorite ghosts. I actually think I believe I have a shiny Frostlass as well. Another one that I've actively shiny hunted. Yeah, there it is. It is working now. The white Glaceon. It's subtle with Glaceon, but I do actually like the shiny color. And with Frostlass, my god, the shiny is so good. Doesn't change a ton, it's subtle, but in a nice way. But yeah, I absolutely adore Frostlass as well. This is my team for the gen. It's not the best overall. It's got some okay coverage. Glaceon with Freeze Dry is a big one, though. That actually gives me some very nice coverage on water. Even though we don't... It says we don't have any water defense. We have a Storm Drain Gastrodon. You bet your ass we have defense against water. But yeah, I genuinely really like this Hoenn team. It is very fun. Not the Hoenn team, this Sinnoh team. There, sorry. And obviously Garchomp is the ace on this team. Absolutely love it. But I like every single one of those. I love Frostlass a lot. One of my favorite ghost types. Which, again, very, very difficult to say one. Gen 5, Era of the Bug, as I regularly call it. Gen 5 has most of the coolest bugs in Pokemon, honestly. And an interesting point, Gen 5 is the first gen that we do not have our starter on the team. Also, sorry, Victini, you're awesome, but you're not getting on here because you were a mythical. I will say, out of the Gen 5 starters, I like Superior the best to use as an actual Pokemon. As an actual pick the starter for a starter, it's Emboar, because Superior doesn't get its hidden ability, which is the only redeeming quality Superior has. And Samurott is garbage that only becomes usable in Gen 8 when they give it a different version, because regular Samurott's crap. So... I regularly say that the Unova has the worst starter lineup in Pokemon. Genuinely. There's pretty much nothing redeeming about them. They all have a massive fault. So, yeah. However, what we are starting with is a really cool bug. Scolipede, get up there. Everybody knows Skull if they saw me play through PokeMMO going through Unova for the first ever time, people know I had a pretty beastly Scolipede on my team that I got quite early. It actually just was a good Scolipede, honestly. Did have speed boost, which is what makes it crazy, but I love Scolipede. It is one of the 3 really, really good bug types from Gen 5. Gen 5 has the best bugs. It just does. As you will see later. Okay. So Gen 5 also has a really weird thing that there's not that many Pokemon from the region. We are in Black and White 2 is what we're doing this in. So it's not quite the same. There are actually options. But, oh yeah, the fucking elemental monkeys can go and drop dead. I don't care. I hate them. Yes, I'm being very aggressive, but I really don't like those monkeys. The rest of them, there's some good choices here. Obviously, I love Gigalith. I absolutely adore Gigalith, but we'll wait on Gigalith for later. Same with Lilligant and Whimsicott. I absolutely adore these Pokemon. So they are on the, we'll wait and see, but we'll have a look at the rest of the gen first. To go, oh god damn, this is the pick. For instance, Crocodile. Crocodile, you're on the list. I love Crocodile. Dark type, Dark and Bug, I'd say, are the best, are the coolest types to get for Gen 5 on a monotype run. Crocodile's a great one. And obviously there's so many good bug types that you're going to have a great time with it. But Crocodile is absolutely awesome. I do love it. I love the big chompy Crocodile. Ground Dark type is also a very fun type. I am a big fan of Ground Dark type. So, yeah. Absolute winning. I don't really have to think about that one too hard. That Crocodile's going on that team. Okay. Next up is... Where are you? Where are you? Yeah. Another all-star pseudo-legendary. We gotta go for the reason fairy type exists. Hydreigon. I love Hydreigon. It's not... It's a weird one for the pseudos for me. I really do like it. Do not get me wrong. And I mulched people with it. I've mulched people with it in competitive before. Obviously, it's a lot weaker now that fairy type exists. But Hydreigon is a really, really good Pokemon that you should never underestimate. The special attacking pseudo of the original 5 pseudo legendaries, Hydreigon is... Oh, actually, the original 6 pseudo legendaries, Hydreigon's the only true special attacker. Technically, you'd use Dragonite or Salamence as special attackers a lot as well, but they both have higher physical attack stats, right? Hydreigon's an actual dedicated special attacker who can be run physical, hilariously. I believe one of the boss fights in the game is actually a physical Hydreigon as well. But Hydreigon's an absolute monster. And I love it. How could you not? It's the Hydra. It's the flying Hydra Dragon. It's really good. And also, I like Dark Dragon. Without Fairy type being added, Dark Dragon was a very, very strong type. Now, it's okay. Oh. We'll get back to you. We'll get back to you, my lovely little grass type. I've never been a fan of regular Zoroark. I just am not. Regular Zoroark. I love Hisuian. Do not, do outright state. Hisuian Zoroark is amazing. Regular Zoroark? I get why people love it. Not for me. Next up. I said earlier I do associate this Pokemon with another person, but I can't not. Volcarona. The best bug type ever. My actual favourite bug type. One of my favourite fire types as well, to be perfectly honest. Volcarona is one of the best designs in Pokemon, and I will statement that. I will say Volcarona. The downside is it's evolves super late, like Hydreigon. Gen 5 just has some of the latest evolutions in Pokemon. Hydreigon and Volcarona are actually noteworthy for being the only Pokemon that are purely post-game in PokeMMO. For Pokemon you can get access to in the game. Because PokeMMO basically has level caps. The level caps in PokeMMO are higher than Hydreigon or Volcarona's evolution levels. So you have to evolve them in the post-game. You have to have beaten the Elite Four and the champion before you can unlock Hydreigon and Volcarona, which I think is a damn shame. But in actual normal playthrough, yeah, just get both of them. They're really good. They're really powerful. And for my 5th pick, yeah, I have to. Another one of my absolute favorite ghost types in existence, the mighty Golurk. I am a huge fan. It was between this and Chandelure, and I like Golurk more, I'm going to be honest. Chandelure's probably better out of the two, but there's something about a no-guard Golurk, right? Golurk is such a fun mon to use. Golurk was also a mon I have shiny hunted as well, because shiny Golurk goes hard. Will this one work? We'll wait and see. It might be loading in. Yeah, it's taking a while, but it is loading. There, look at that. I love the giant radiation golem, the warpstone golem, as I always call shiny Golurk. Great one. I technically have a shiny Volcarona as well. I had two, but I think I gave one to a friend as a present. Because I know they absolutely love Volcarona as well. There's a few people I know that love Volcarona, but I went. I think I gave a Christmas present to a friend of mine, which was a shiny Volcarona. Or shiny Larvesta, at least, which I found in the desert. But yeah, Golurk, very good choice. I do really like it. Now, for the last pick, there's actually a lot of honorable mentions on here, but I am not certain which one I want to use as the final point of this is the one. Obviously, there's like Bishop, which is really cool. There is Chandelure, which is really cool. Durant. There is... Where's other ones on the list? Yeah, Excavalier. I can never remember how to pronounce that one. Haxorus, obviously. I love Haxorus so much. Not as much as a lot of people I know do. Like, loads of people love Haxorus more than most of the pseudos. I think Haxorus is a very worthy pseudo candidate, but I like the pseudos a bit more, honestly. I like the designs usually just a bit more. But Haxorus is still really, really good. Do not get me wrong. Ace of one of my favorite champions as well. Iris is a really cool character. So, yeah, hell yeah. I fucking hate Excadrill. I do not like this mod at all. So, it's not going on there. I don't really like Conkeldurr, though. So, the big ones that it's between. I like Whimsicott a lot, but Shiny Whimsicott is the one that I adore. Regular Lilligant is amazing. Do not get me wrong. But Lilligant's going to get its love later with his Suian. So, the main ones it's between, for me, are Gigalith and Haxorus, probably. And the ever-reliable, one of my favourite mods, it's really bad, but I do love it, Maractus. I adore Maractus so much. Do I just want to put Maractus on because it's cool? I do like it. It's one of my favourite grass types. Not for good, not for being good, but for being cute. You know what? I'm sorry, Haxorus, and I'm sorry, Gigalith. You're both absolutely amazing with two of the best shinies in Pokemon history. But I can't go Maractus. I actually have no idea what shiny Maractus looks like. Let's wait for the site to load it. Then we can see. Oh, yeah, I do like that. I really like Maractus. So, yeah. I like regular Maractus as well. They're both great. I think I like regular more. Yeah, I love these bonds. Maractus isn't good, I will outright say. Pick one of the other two if you want a better Pokemon. Gigalith is really, really strong. And, Haxorus is obviously insane. Everyone knows Haxorus is insane. But I just like Maractus too. Also, another one is Galvantula. I wanted to say, Galvantula is another one of my favourite Bug-type Pokemon in existence. One of the best Pokemon in Gen 5. Outright. Ferrothorn's also a very good choice, but... yeah, there's a lot of better Pokemon than Maractus. Obviously, there's also the God Shroom. And Moongus as well is also on there, but... eh. And if you're into goth ladies, Gothitelle is also great. I do like goth girls, but not really into Gothitelle, personally. See, I'm not entirely sus, guys. We're gonna have to really start speeding through. We're gonna go over and we know we are. Yeah, that is my Gen 5 pick team. Now for Gen 6, X and Y. X and Y has 3 very good starters. Really good game on us. Well, actually, no. Great game. I got really tired of the, one, it was very easy. Kalos. The Kalos games. But, I mean, it's a kid's game. It's supposed to be easy, right? It was a bit too easy, though. And I didn't like that you were permanently on roller skates, and I could never figure out how to get off of them. So, entirely call that one on me, maybe, but that always aggravated me. But anyway, XY obviously has amazing Pokemon. Great starters. Greninja. Greninja's a bunch of people's favourite. And he is a great mon, don't get me wrong. Not really for me. Chestnut, people give Chestnut a real bad rap. It's fine. I've said regularly before my opinions on Chestnut that I think it is cool and good. But I see what they were going for, and I think they missed what they were going for. So I think Chestnut could definitely do a lot better. I also am 100% expecting at some point in the future a Chestnut regional form, I will say. I think in one game, hell, it might be... I don't think it's going to be Legends ZA, but I think there at some point there's going to be a regional Chestnut, and I think it is going to be kind of the Black Knight version of Chestnut, because Chestnut's supposed to be like a Paladin Knight type character, and I think they're going to do like a Black Knight version and make it either Dark or Steel, and I think that would be very cool. But one of my favourite starters, as regularly known, my number 4 pick starter is Delphox. Amazing shiny on Delphox as well. I love regular Delphox a lot, and I love shiny Delphox. The Witch, I just like it. I've always been a big Delphox fan. So, yeah. There's also, again, reiterating, Megas are in this gen. We're not counting Megas because... no. Not allowed. And I'll also state, this gen, an actual Pokemon team with this gen, you would pick Pokemon from different regions specifically because they have Megas. And you might as well go in with your Megas, right? But, if you're doing a thing like we are, you're not allowed the Megas. Yeah, look at her. Look how gorgeous she is. Anyway, next up is Pangoro, the big Kung Fu Panda itself. The original Kung Fu Panda. Go fuck yourself, Urshifu. I actually don't know what Pangoro looks like. It just turns brown. I really like Pangoro. It's a really cool mon. It's basically like, it's kind of worse Urshifu in terms of what it does in battle. But I prefer it to Urshifu. I think it's got a much better design, honestly, than Urshifu. And we didn't need another Kung Fu Panda. We've got this Yakuza Panda. It's cool. I like how it evolves because it's a fun concept. It's just great. Pangoro slaps. Kalos, I think, has one of the best sets of new Pokemon ever. I will outright state that. Go-Go's pretty cool. Not really for me, but I get why people love it. Should not have been on the champion of Paldea's team, though. I will say that. Kalos does have some losers, like Swirlix's... Yeah, Swirlpuff, that's its name. And Aromatisse. And I can't remember if Swanna's from this gen or if it's from the previous one. I think it's from the previous one, but Swanna sucks. Yeah. So, there's some cool ones on there. The Coastal Pokedex, though, is a big one. Dragalge we might come back to later. I do really like Dragalge. Dragalge is an absolutely awesome Pokemon. Big tanky special defensive dragon with adaptability, which is also pretty just sick in general, right? But you know exactly where we are in this one. My favorite Kalosmon, regularly well known for me, Tyrantrum, the big bad stompy T-Rex dragon himself. My favorite Pokemon from Kalos. My favorite Gen 6 Pokemon. I do like a lot of Gen 6 Pokemon, but Tyrantrum is the king of Gen 6 Pokemons. Or Queen, as I believe my Tanya was my original Tyrantrum, which was a female. So, now, I will think about Aurorus. I do really, really like Aurorus. It's another one of my favorites from this gen. But we'll have a thought first. We'll use our head. In fact, we'll use our head so much we will actually go back to, I believe they should be on here in this section. Are you not in this section? No, you must be later. Kalos is obviously the introduction of the fairy type. Normally, my fairy type of choice for Kalos would absolutely be a Gardevoir, but we've already talked about it. We're not allowed from different gens in this one. This is specifically designed to be from the same gen. So normally I would have a Gardevoir on this team, but we're not getting a Gardevoir on this team because we have to put something else. So I would probably have to pick my second favourite fairy. A fairy that came from this gen. It's not my second favourite fairy, but it's one of the it's a fairy that came from this gen, alright? We're picking Sylveon. I do like Sylveon. I wouldn't mind a shiny Sylveon, honestly. That is a Pokemon I might actually have a shiny Sylveon. I'm not 100% on that, though. I think I might. I have a shiny of a few of the evolutions. But shiny Sylveon, look at that. I do really like shiny Sylveon. But yeah, Sylveon is an absolutely great mon. I do really like it. Pixelate. And I've regularly used it. I do prefer a few of the other evolutions, but it's up there. I find this mon pretty even with Umbreon in ones I really, really like, but doesn't quite hit the top spots that a few of the others hit. But I do love it. I think it's got a great design, particularly the shiny. The blue really pops. Okay, next up, we got to. Goodra, you're in. Another pseudo-legendary. I really love Goodra. People give Goodra a lot of shit because they did buff Goodra, technically, by giving it a alternate one, because there's Hisuian Goodra, which is significantly better than Goodra. But people that underestimate regular Goodra do so at their own peril. Regular Goodra is very good. It's just not as good as a lot of the others. Like, it's all, I think at the moment, because of terrestrialization allowing Dragonite to be a bit better, I believe Goodra is the worst pseudo-legendary in terms of how it performs. But Goodra is still a very good mon. It's still a pseudo, remember that. It's the lowest ranked pseudo-legendary in terms of power, but it's still strong. You still have to be worried about it. It's a pseudo. It's a special defensive pseudo as well, so it will eat hits. It's not the best on the offense. It's only got like 100 in its stats. But you can make it work if you spec it right. And also, you could just use it as a defensive concrete wall. Like, my god, does this thing take a lot of killing. Excuse me. Anyway, next up on these, our last mon from Gen 6. Here's where it comes to the conundrum. I do like Noivern a lot. I will say. Noivern's pretty sweet. So it's definitely worthy of being on the team. But this is the bit. Auroras, another honourable mention. You also absolutely deserve to be on this team. However, we're going to spec up and prove that we have a massive fairy weakness on this team for this region. Because there's another mon that is weak to fairy that I think is inspired in Gen 6. One of my favourite Gen 6 mons, a very respectable spot himself as well, is Hualucha! Mexicro himself. That is the name of my Hualucha. I have a shiny Hualucha named Mexicro, which is an absolute... I love this mod so much. Genuinely, Hualucha is one of my favourite designs for Pokemon. I absolutely adore it. Great mon in just every aspect. Really fun, really cool design. Such a personality as well. I know he had a big part in the anime, even though he's not... I don't think he did a lot very good in anime. Although he did drop kick a Zapdos at one point, which is pretty funny. I think he got his ass kicked by the Zapdos, but he did drop kick one. Or, like, flying knee one. I just love Hualucha, honestly. It's a great mon. It's got such a personality. It's one of the mons that I would love to have in, like, the TTRPG game. Hualucha is a very good one, and yeah. I love the mod a lot. It's very, very cool. One of my favourite Gen 6 mons. And Gen 6 got a lot of very good mons, I will say. So that's the Kalos setup. We have 4 more fucking regions, and it's 8 o'clock. Jesus. I want to make sure that no one's sitting in the chat for, Sinnoh. Yeah, nobody is. Cool. Wanted to make sure. Didn't do the call to arms tonight for it, so. Yeah, I won't do Let's Go. I won't do the Let's Go games. Basically, switch out one of the mons for Partner Eevee. Right? I will still Legends Arceus, though, because Legends Arceus is very different. And it will pretty much just be the Hisuian ones. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And absolutely, honestly, probably the most difficult Pokemon game. Outside of, like, original Red and Blue. Because it's got some absolutely brutal fights in it. From my understanding. Also a game that unfortunately I lost my save, the thing that I was playing it to stream when I was playing Ultra Sun, broke. So unfortunately I wasn't able to, get completed. Oh yeah, also another Gen 6 one that's absolutely deserves to be on the list is Malamar. I love Malamar. But, yeah. Anyway, I've said regularly that I think Alola has arguably the best starter lineup. All 3 are amazing. Genuinely. It has one of my favorite grass-type starters, one of my favorite fire-type starters, and one of my favorite water-type starters. It has got my probably 3rd favorite grass-type starter, my joint favorite water-type starter, and my 5th favorite fire-type starter, but I am a fire-type starter user. So we are putting the big lad, the other wrestler, Incineroar, the best Pokemon ever, as he's famously known as. The best competitive Pokemon of all time. My webcam just broke again, for fuck's sake. We still lurking? Yep. Behave yourself. But yeah, I do love Incineroar. I have said before, I wish Incineroar had a... I do wish Incineroar stayed on all 4s, was like a big tiger, right? I genuinely do wish that. I think it would have been a significantly better. If that was the only thing, that was just the design, they went, massive, hulking, like, fire tiger on all fours. Would have loved it. They made it into Tony the Tiger, which isn't awful. I do like it. I will say, I've said this before, I do like Incineroar a lot. I just realize he could have been so much better. But I do really like him. You'll not often see me use him in competitive Pokemon, but he is very good. And I do like using him as well. It's just, I like putting other things on the team. There's other things I'd rather use. Even though he's arguably the better choice, there's stuff I'd rather use. Okay. Next up for Gen 7. We have to put my Ballistic Missile, another one of my Pokemon from the Draft League that we did. Dusk Form Lycanroc. Literally, this thing was just my torpedo. It was Life Orbed, Adamant Nature, with Tough Claws. This thing was just supposed to hit as hard as physically possible. I gave it pure offensive moves. I gave it Excel Rock. Excel Rock, I gave it Play Rough, Iron Head usually, and I remember my last move. I think I changed out a lot of its moves a lot. I would have Rock Slide on there as well. It was just a really solid mon. I love Dust Form Lycanroc. I like Midday as well, but Dust Form hits a lot harder. And the way that makes Midday really good is you can do basically super fierce strats. You can do, it's like you basically put it as a crazy, crazy, crazy fast mon because it's insanely fast. In the Sandstorm. And you can, like, Focus Sash it, use Endeavor, Excel Rock, and all that kind of stuff. Put some spikes with it and things like that. And it is really, really good. I prefer Dusk Form because I don't like using that kind of cheesy, crappy strategy. So, yeah. I don't like that dumb gimmick type strategy. I never have. So, I will use the Raw Power Mon, which is Dusk Form. If you use it, I'm not going to judge. I'll call you a bit cringe. That's about it. I get you want to win however you can, right? I'm not that tryhardy. That I'm going to go with that kind of a strategy because it's for feel bad strat. There are a lot, like, Mudsdale's on the list of maybe pick. Because Mudsdale is a really cool mon. Big point, by the way. Oh yeah, also, there's so much in the Ultra Beasts that I would be tempted to use. Now, the Ultra Beasts are really cool. The Tapus are great. It has a great selection of legendaries and stuff as well. But there's another mon we have to put on here. Probably my favorite regional form in Pokemon. Alolan Ninetales, which I will also make shiny because the shiny is gorgeous. Honestly, regular is gorgeous as well. But I love Alolan Ninetales. It is one of my favorite Gen 7 mons. It is one of my favorite regional forms of a mon. It's an inspired choice, genuinely. And Alolan Vulpix is one of the cutest mons ever. So, yeah. I love Alolan Ninetales. Another easy choice on this list, by the way, and one that I was pissed off in the actual game because you have to get it really, really late, is Vikavolt. I love the Railgun Bug. It has a legendary special attack stat. For some reason, it's slow as dirt. I really hope they make a Mega Vikavolt. That's the thing I want. I want a Mega Vikavolt. And all it needs to do is just add 100 to its speed. Just make it crazy fast, and it would be done. I really like the mod. It's a really cool mod. It's just fun as well. So yeah, Vikavolt, easy pick on the team. Now we got another one that's an easy pick on the team. So, remember I was saying Milotic's my favourite water type? There's technically another one which is competing with it for my favourite water type. And that is Marnie, my Toxapex. I love this mod so much. Call me what you want for loving Toxapex. I think it's adorable, and I have won a lot of games with it because, yes, it is absolutely aggravating to play against Pokemon. but Toxapex is a lot of fun for me. I never particularly minded going against it either. I absolutely understand why people would hate going against it. I've never had that much of a problem with it. Obviously, it's tough. It's very good. But I think one of the reasons why I've never had that much of an issue with it is because if I'm going up against Toxapex, I've got a Garchomp, right? And Garchomp bodies Toxapex. It does. So, yeah. I love Toxapex, though. Toxapex, my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon, I will say. Which is a weird one. Alola's strength is in a lot of its weirder Pokemon, though. I will say that. Like, Araquanid. Love Araquanid. Absolutely adore the mod. Really fun one to use. Absolutely brutal. People use this thing in really weird ways. They, like... I've seen so many people just run it sashed for Araquanid. Like, they run it focus sashed. They give it, pure utility moves. And don't really spec into it. I go, no, Araquanid hits like a freight train and is very bulky if you buff its health. So I just, I give it Water Bubble. I do give it Sticky Webs, don't get me wrong. I give it Water Bubble, Sticky Webs, max its attack, max its health, and just, like, set the Sticky Webs on the first turn. And then just start smashing things with Liquidation, because Water Bubble Liquidation from Araquanid really fucking hurts. So, yeah, I don't know why people don't use it more like that. It's good. Sure, you might not get the Stealth Rocks. Sure, you might not get the Sticky Webs off because you'll occasionally lose it. But it's fine. You're probably fine. It's got a massive special defense stat as well, so it's taking a nasty physical hit. Like, a super effective physical hit, yeah, it'll down it. But Bug Water's not a terrible type as well. Particularly Water Bug with a even bigger resistance to fire than normal, so... Genuinely, yeah, I never really understood why people don't try and use Araquanid a bit more offensively. Or like bulky tank Cannonbon. I think it works really well for it, personally. Now, there's a lot of things I could put on this list for the final spot. Big ones, obviously, being Lurantis, which I have a big soft spot for. I love my little contrary Fake Mantis. It's a really fun one to use. There is, where's another? Oricorio is pretty cool. I do obviously love Ribombee, another really good bug type from this region. But I'd say, you know what we're missing on this list? We're missing the regional pseudo, and I do really like Komodo. I will say, it's weirder mons. I do prefer other mods to Komodo. Komodo is a pretty average as far as pseudos go. But I still love it, and it's still a pseudo, guys. I love my pseudo legendaries. Komodo is a really fun one. There's lots of ways to build it. That's one of the things I find Komodo particularly interesting for. It's probably the most versatile pseudo. To me, it's between this and Salamence for how many ways can you run this thing that are all good. That's a big point for me, that it's in its favor. It's a really cool one. I really like it. And it does an absolute beast of a job. One thing I will say about this team, again, big weakness to, like, rock and ground. Though we do have a Vikavolt with Levitate, so there's that. But yeah, that's a fun part for it. That is my Gen 7 Alola team. Now let's do... Yeah, let's do Sword and Shield before Legends Arceus. Howdy, Anonymous. Okay, Sword and Shield. Yet another gen that I don't give a fuck about the starters. Gotta be honest, we're not getting a starter on this team. Because Rillaboom is definitely the strongest of the starters. It's very good. I've never been the biggest fan. I don't like my monkey Pokemon. Even though it's an ape, and it's definitely one of the least egregious of them. I like gorillas, right? I am much more okay with Rillaboom than most of the other monkeys. But I do like Cinderace more as my starter for this region. And it's alright, but I don't like using it. It hilariously anti-synergizes with my teams a lot because I like running Earthquake. So I actively don't want grassy terrain most of the time. However, they did make one of my favorite Pokemon. One of the Pokemon that is consistently on my competitive Pokemon teams as well. My tag mate with Garchomp. Goober, basically in double battles, I will usually send out Garchomp, my ace, with this mon for support, Corviknight. The best mon from Galar, in my personal opinion at least. And I think most people would go, it's a fucking good mon. The best regional bird, and I don't care what anyone says otherwise, it is. Corviknight, I absolutely fucking love Corviknight. Mirror Armor Corviknight particularly goes so hard. With my set, this was one of the few Pokemon that I have done that I think I built a competitive set on my own without looking online, and the online one is basically the identical to my one. I think they run theirs slightly more supporty than me, but 3 of the 4 moves are the same in, like, every set, and I think a few of them have the same exact set with items. I think the ability is a different one, but I like running Mirror Armor a lot more than Pressure. Pressure, when it works better in certain situations rather than others. I'm rarely trying to stall people out with Corviknight. I'm trying to kill them with Corviknight because I run the heavy body press set. Also, I will say this again. To all the people out there that run Bulk Up Power Trip Corviknight, just don't. Sure, I'm sure you can have fun with it, and I'm sure that it's got a use. But I'd rather run Iron Defense with Brave Bird, personally, as my 2 moves. Because the other moves are the same. Like, they always have Body Press, they always have Roost, right? Those are the 2 moves you see on nearly every Corviknight, because of course you do. They're really good on Corviknight. But I see a lot of people with Power Trip and Bulk Up. You could run it and it's fine, but I'd rather have the defense increase faster with Iron Defense than go for the attack as well to get a more powerful power trick. I'd rather run the flying move with Brave Bird because you're running Corviknight probably with leftovers. I think the power trick one might run Rocky Helmet, but even then, I'd rather run my set, personally. I have squashed a lot of people running the Bulk Up Corviknight set with my Iron Defense Body Press Corviknight, because it sets up way faster. It matters, trust me. You'll thank me later. Also, 252 health, 252 defense, impish nature, with the rest put into 4 points of attack. Yeah, because you do have an attacking move that's not Body Press with Brave Bird. And Brave Bird does a lot of work because my teams regularly don't run that many flying moves. So having just... I might run Salamence with Dual Wing Beat. Otherwise, yeah, having just that option to Brave Bird is really nice. Even though it's not... My Corviknight doesn't run the most attack. It's got a little attack. It's not got negative at all. But, yeah. I like it. And Brave Bird hits really hard, even with not crazy high attack stat. Because it's just a high power move that's stab, right? Another one. This one's not very good from... My next 2 actually aren't very good. This is actually one of the reasons why I run a lot of normal types. I'll statement now. There are 2 normal types on this team that are not good mons. But I like them, and they're both going on the team. Obstagoon, another mon that I really like from this region, honestly. I think Obstagoon goes so hard. I like Galarian Zigzagoon way more than Hoenn. And Linoon. Linoon was on my team in my original Hoenn playthrough, but only for HMs. Whereas Obstagoon, I'd like to just run an Obstagoon. It's one of the Pokemon I really want to run and play in Sword and Shield for. I like them on a lot. I think it's a really cool mod. It's got a great design. Kind of the angry badger. It's really cool. I just like it. It's not crazy good. Dark Normal is not a particularly good type combo. But I think it's a pretty bad type combo, actually. Not the worst, again, but certainly not good. But I just like Obstagoon. All its abilities are really cool as well. It's got, like, Guts. I think it gets, Guts. I think it gets Sheer Force or something like that. It gets Reckless. I know it gets Reckless. Hell yeah! Congratulations! Congratulations, Anonymous! Hell yeah! You got a raise and a job offer that's 100k, yeah? Fuck yeah. Congratulations. You are awesome. You fucking earned it. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, the other mon, which is not very good, by the way, but I do just like it. It's Dubwool. I will say, it's Dubwool largely because of Wooloo. Shiny Wooloo, I just love Shiny Wooloo. I just do. But I've just got a big soft spot for this particular Pokemon because of Pokerogue. I just love this thing. It's not great, I will say, but I do like Fluffy. And you can certainly make it work, right? It's not a terrible mon because it is a bulwark kind of wall with Fluffy. It will die to fire. And fighting. It basically is a normal type with 2 weaknesses, which is like one of the main advantages of normal type is it doesn't have many weaknesses. But I do still like it. And it goes on the team. Okay, next up, let's just put the Pseudo on the team because Okay, Duraludon, you're not a Pseudo Legendary. We'll get to you later, Duraludon, don't worry. I've got some choice words to say about you. But we'll save that for Gen 9. But Dragapult's pretty sick. I don't really get to use Dragapult very often. It's another super late Evo, like Hydreigon. It's also a really versatile Pseudo, like in the same kind of vein as Salamence and Kommo-o. Probably slightly less, because you see it run physical attacker, special attacker, or screens. Right? That's the 3 ways you run it. When I'd say Kommo-o, you see like 50 different builds. And with Salamence, there's another like 50 different builds. So, because there's regular Salamence with Moxie, regular Salamence Intimidate, regular Salamence Support, Mega Salamence, Special, Mega Salamence Physical, Physical Salamence, Special Salamence. The same, there's a bunch. There's Defensive Kommo-o, there's Z-Move Kommo-o. There's just a bunch of stuff, right? So, yeah. There's all that. Dragapult, there's like 4 or 5 different builds, but there are 4 or 5 very, very versatile builds. So, it is that. And I really like it, even though I don't get to use it too often. When I have used Dragapult, it's very, very fun. So there's that. Let's get to the next one. You all know it, because I did talk about it earlier. Hatterene, I love my hat. People know I love Hatterene. It's a really fun mod. It kind of works in the same way that I would run in the past a really fast Psychic type. With Hatterene, it's not fast. It's famously very slow. But it's also famously very tanky. And you can run a lot of recovery, like healing moves on it. So I actually like running really tanky Hatterene. So it kind of fills the same kind of vein as Gardevoir. And Alakazam and Espeon and all those ones. But kind of in an inverse kind of way. So, yeah, I do really like this mon. Obviously, I love Hatterene. Hatterene is a very fun mon to use. And also, Magic Bounce. I've regularly run Hatterene in competitive. If I play OU competitive, I've probably got Hatterene on the team, and it's probably my lead. Because unless your opponent runs very specific things against it, you're going to see a lot of options your opponent's got. And Magic Bounce means no hazards to worry about, so hell yeah. As for my last one... What do I want for my last one? Don't really want Galarian Slowking. As cool as it is, it's not really my style. Copperage is pretty good. I do like that mon a lot. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? Excuse me. Definitely not putting Orbeetle on the team. I don't really like it. Colossal's pretty cool. I do kind of vibe with it. That's a really good argument. Just gonna scan if there's a better one than that. Okay, I do like Alcremie as well. I do generally like Alcremie a lot. It's not going on the list, but I do like it. Runagrigus is also a really cool one. Morpeko and Phalanx. I love those bonds a lot. Yeah, I do like those bonds, but there's two big arguments that I have to deal with the pair of them. Grimmsnarl is one, Berserker is the other. I think... Weirdly, I might go Berserker. Yeah, I'm going to put Berserker on there. I do love Berserker. I think it's a great mon. Really fun to use, honestly. The only Meowth version I found that's been genuinely fun. I said Persian's fine, but Berserker's a lot better. You can wreck people with Berserker quite easily. Also, it's a tiny little Viking, which I just love. Okay. Now, I did say we are going to do Legends Arceus separately because Legends Arceus does have a bit of a different set of Pokemon. Now, we'll say, regularly, once again, the actual good Samurott, Hisuian Typhlosion, which I do prefer less than regular Typhlosion, but I still like it the most out of these starters. Hisuian Decidueye, which I think is worse than regular Decidueye. I think these two are basically a downgrade. This one probably stats-wise is an upgrade, but I like the design more of regular Typhlosion. And I like the ability of regular Typhlosion a lot more. Frisk, I'm not a huge fan of. Whereas Flash Fire, I like. Even on a fire type. Immunity is an immunity, right? Particularly on an eruption one that wants to take as minimal damage as possible. And Hisuian Decidueye is really good. But I think the regular Decidueye is kind of better. But Hisuian Samurott is a massive upgrade over regular Samurott. Like, it's not even close. Regular Samurott is one of the worst starters ever. And Hisuian Samurott is what regular Samurott should have been. Genuinely, in my personal opinion. Regular Samurott should have been Hisuian Samurott from the get-go. But when we get to this region, there are Hisuian forms we got to pick. And first up, we gotta pick the big one himself. Or the big one herself, because I always have a shiny Ursaluna on my team. I love Ursaluna a lot. People know I do. I've regularly run it in competitive Pokemon. Ursaluna is one of the biggest, like, yes, this was a form that needed to happen. Mons. Regular Ursaring is fine. It was always one of those Pokemon that did, I've genuinely said before, it's like, it needed an evolution. And what an evolution did it get? It got a crazy good one. Ursaluna is a famously good Pokemon. It does what it says on the tin. It's massively tanky and hits like a runaway freight train. It's crazy good. And I do love it. Very fun mon to use. Guts, ground type, facade with normal stab. God, it's great. It's slow. I don't run Trick Room. But Ursaluna is a Pokemon that's good enough that you can run it without Trick Room. It's crazy in Trick Room, but it's very, very good without it. Prepared to see another normal type on this team. Where are you, Hisui and Zoroark? You gotta be on here. Yeah, there you are. The Eldrazi werewolf itself. Hisuian Zoroark, which I absolutely love. Also gonna put you shiny because you have an amazing shiny as well. I love Hisuian Zoroark so much. It is such a sick mon. And again, one of the biggest glow-ups for regional forms. I say it once, say it 1,000 times. Regular Zoroark, not great. Hisuian Zoroark, amazing. In how good it is to use, how cool it looks. It just pops on every aspect. Next up, an absolute all-star in its own right. I do love Arcanine, don't get me wrong, but Hisuian Arcanine, oh, there's something special right there. Bonnie, my Hisuian Arcanine, I absolutely love it. The head-smashing, flare-blitzing, choice-banded mon. Honestly, the mon that made me... This mon is one of the mons that made me change my mind about never using choice items. Was Hisuian Arcanine. Because choice-banded Arcanine... Choice-band Hisuian Arcanine with Rockhead, Flare Blitz, Head Smash... Close combat, I used to run Double Edge, but you never use Double Edge because the other two are better. And Extreme Speed, this mon is great. I love Hisuian Arcanine, honestly. Now, next up. Yeah, I think next up we'll put Sneasler on the team. A mon that I say... This image of Sneasler does not do it justice. It looks so much better in-game. Sneasler. But it's terrifying. It's so good. It's an absolute beatstick of a mon. Fighting Poison is also really good. It's really cool type combo, honestly. I genuinely like it a lot. And I've said before, Hisui has the overall... best regional forms, I will say. I think the individual forms may be better than the Hisui mons, but pretty much every Hisuian form is good. And is a really cool one. They also put out a shitload of regional forms, so, yeah. They're all great, and I do love them. Not Basculegion. Basculegion is good. It's brokenly good in Scarvi because Last Respects is a very overpowered move. But we're not putting it on this list. But Hisuian Goodra, you're going on this list. I do love Hisuian Goodra a lot. I've talked to him regularly. I like regular Goodra a lot, right? Hisuian Goodra is significantly better than regular Goodra, though. Steel Dragon is such a terrifyingly good combo. It's one of the best type combos in the game. Dragon and Steel are two of the strongest types in Pokemon, and they both complement each other very, very well together. So you naturally just get a very strong Pokemon. And Hisuian Goodra is a concrete wall that hits really hard as well. Doesn't it bullshit hard? It's a defensive Pokemon over an offensive Pokemon. But there's a lot of ways you can run it, and it just does work. Right? So, I really, really like it. Not much to say about it, it's just good, right? Final Pokemon, what will I go? Will I go Kleavor? I'm thinking Kleavor. But I'm looking to see if there's anything that really compares to it. I'm not the biggest Overquill vibe. We could pick Kleavor. Oh, we could pick, one of my favorite grass types of all time. There's also on the list, right? Hisuian Lilligant. There you are, girl. I love it. You thought I'd forgotten about her, didn't you? Hisuian Lilligant is amazing. This Pokemon, I have basically gone... If I don't want to run... This one is one of my favorite Pokemon, genuinely. It's one of my favorite... It's probably his favorite Hisuian form, actually. Hisuian Lilligant is such an amazingly fun and amazingly cool one. Victory Dance, so it's got the physical quiver dance. Chlorophyll, so it's fast as fuck. This mon is what I do if I'm running a Sun team. I've probably got a Hisuian Lilligant on the team, right? If I'm at higher tiers. Because Choice Band Leafeon, this basically is better than Choice Band Leafeon, essentially. It's the better version. Because you don't need to run Choice Band on it. You run some setup and, like, Life Orb. Or leftovers on it. To keep it healthy. Yes, it's got a core weakness. Yes, you're using one of the fastest Pokemon ever to do a setup set thing. But are you going to argue that Victory Dance with either Life Orb or a honestly, a Focus Sash isn't a bad choice on this either. But this Pokemon is kind of squishy, but with Victory Dance and either a Leftovers to keep it a little bit healthy if you're confident you're not going to get one shot, or Life Orb to just deal a little bit extra damage. Solar Blade, close combat. Honestly, you can run Defog on this thing, and I quite often do. I run Defog on it usually on the non-Sun team version. You can run this thing on a non-Sun team. If you're in this on non-Sun team, pack Leaf Blade, Close Combat, Victory Dance, and Defog would be my advice. With a wide lens to get rid of the Hustle problem, because you do run Hustle. And the Hustle kind of counteracts not having a Life Orb. So yeah, very, very good. This is my Legends Arceus choice. As I wanted to do one for Legends Arceus because the team is completely different to the Sword and Shield team. Right? Now, for the final region, currently, at least, because Legends ZA isn't out yet, and we don't even have much info about it. Let's do Scarvite. Another one of my favorite regions, honestly. I think Scarvite has some of the most absolutely cracked just Pokemon, like new Pokemon in general. Two of the best starters of all time. One of my joint favorite Grass-type starters, and my second favorite Fire-type starter. Then we've got probably one of my least favorite starters ever. In fact, I think my least favorite Final Evolved starter. With Quaquaval, it's between Quaquaval and Infernape, but I just don't like him. Actually, no, regular Samurott might lose to it, but I hate Quaquaval. But you get Skeledirge and Meowscarada, which I do think Meowscarada could have been better, by the way, but it's still amazing. And Sprigatito's so cute. But, yeah. We're picking Skeledirge on it. I love Skeledirge so much. It is my second favorite starter of all time. Only being beaten out by Charizard, which you know that that's a good rank if it's only beaten in starters by Charizard, which is my boy. So, yeah. Skeledirge, easy opener. And let's get the elephant out of the room immediately. Where are you? Mill him. You're in here somewhere. Stop hiding. I don't remember what dex entry she has, actually. Where are you? There you are. Millim, my Tinkaton, my probably favourite Mon from Gen 9, honestly. What can I say? She's perfect. It's a perfect design. The stats could be better. But the stats being better would break this Pokemon so insanely that it would be the most powerful Pokemon of all time. Tinkaton, I absolutely love. I just love this mod so much. There are ways to make it even more crazy as well. There's so much you can do. It's such a versatile Pokemon. The theming is on point. All you need to do, by the way, to make this thing broken as shit is run it in doubles with a skill swap Medicham. That's it. Then Tinkaton suddenly has pure power. If you want to go super offensive. You can also run it how I run her a lot, which is either Mold Breaker or Pickpocket with Sword Stance And either a leftovers or an air balloon, whichever one you kind of feel like. If you're running leftovers, run mold breaker. If you're running air balloon, run pickpocket. Both are perfectly valid. The one I like to run with her is, I think it's play rough, gigaton hammer, obviously, sword stance, and encore. If I'm doing it in VGC specifically, or in double battles, I will drop sword stance and pick up fake out if memory serves was my usual one. But yeah, Tinkerton's amazing, and I do love her. Claude Sire, we'll come back to you later. You're definitely a maybe on this team. I do, again, you two are also maybes. Armor Rouge and Ceruledge are both also maybes on this team, because I do fucking love both of them. They're amazing. Oh yeah, Mimikyu is another very good contender for Gen 7 for Alola. That was a very honorable mention as well. Indeedee female is also an honorable mention for Gen 8. Not Houndstone, it's broken. And also, I do like Houndstone, do not get me wrong. As soon as they nerf Last Respects, hopefully into the fucking ground, I don't want them to remove the move. I want them to actively nerf the move. I think the move itself is a cool concept. It's just way too powerful. And obviously there's the Paradox Mons, which I absolutely fucking love most of the Paradox Mons. But you know what? Let's just not beat around the bush. Baxcalibur, people know I love Baxcalibur a lot. I love Masudos in general, and Bax is a particularly good one based on Gigan, a great character from Godzilla. People know my Brenner build, the classic heavyweight setup Baxcalibur, which is the Glaive Rush build, which I really, really enjoy using, with Protect, Sword Stance, Icicle Shard, and Glaive Rush. Very fun competitive set to run. With lefties as well. I do like Palafin, but probably not on this. Not one of my absolute favorites. But I do like it. It's a really cool one. Ah, my Ogapon. I love Ogapon so much. Another absolutely good competitor with Tinkerton for my favorite Gen 9 Pokemon. It's between those two. I love them both. They're so cute. But Legendary, not allowed on this list. There's the other Paradoxes as well, which are all great. But I'd say a comfy spot. We did say we'd come back to it. Arcaladon. Now, I will say Duraludon, not great. I'm not a huge fan of Duraludon. It's fine. Duraludon is a fine mon. It's nothing amazing. It's not really bad either. However, Arcaladon is something special right there. They literally realized that Duraludon was crap and had nothing really going for it. Because it needed its G-Max. Its G-Max form was what made it pretty good. Because it kind of has bad stats. Like, it's good physical defense and okay special attack and physical attack. Like, it's pretty good. Kind of slow with a great typing. Useless abilities. Stalwart's the only one that's even vaguely usable, and it's okay. Stalwart is okay. Only usable in doubles, though. It's basically, you guaranteed... You can't be, like, diverted for where you're going, so it ignores Lightning Rod. It ignores Lightning Rod and Storm Drain, things like that force attacks onto them. It also ignores things like Follow Me. Duraludon's just immune to those, basically. Which only, again, matters in doubles. But Arcaladon they gave it stamina, which is one of the best abilities in Pokemon, and at least one of my favorite abilities in Pokemon. Mudsdale was an honorable mention, obviously, because it has stamina, and I really like it. Archaludon also gets stamina, but is more than honorable mention. It's actually one of my favorite Pokemon in Gen 9. So there is that, which is a big plus. This Pokemon will be fine as soon as they nerf Strength Sap, which they really need to do. They just change how it works. Blood Moon Ursaluna, technically not a legendary, so would be viable for this, but as much as I do think it's cool, I like regular Ursaluna a lot more. So, yeah. The Paradox is absolutely slap, so that's always a good one. Orthworm's pretty cool. I'm not the most sold on it, but Orthworm is pretty cool. I've lost the Pokemon. I'm literally like... okay, I'm gonna let you out on a secret here. I'm kind of pretending to be umming and ahhing about what to add to the team, because I can't find a Mon that is going to be on the team. Because I'm stupid. Where the fuck are you? Are you early? You might be early. Oh yeah, Garganical, very honourable mention. As well. Garganical. There he is. Okay. Garganical, honourable mention. Garganical is great, and I do love it. But we gotta pick Anihilappi, right? One of the greatest, once again, one of the greatest new Evos of an existing Pokemon ever. I always had a soft spot for Primeape, but it was just bad, and not the best design either. But I always went like, oh, I wish it would be better, but maybe if it got an extra Evo or something. I just never considered regular Primeape to be strong. Annihilape, though, that Mon goes hard. Annihilape is just peak. It's peak. It's an amazing Pokemon. And I love it. One of the best decisions they ever made. And I really hope this thing comes to Pokemon Unite. This is a one that I think needs to come to Pokemon Unite. As a defender, probably. Or an all-rounder. You can put it in either slot. Basically just takes hits, and then just crumples things back with shitloads of damage. I also found something even cooler out. The Rage Bar for Annihilape doesn't actually go away over time. Like, if you switch out, which I didn't realize. So this mod is even better than I thought it was. Which I find just really, really fun. And finally, for the Gen 9 Mon, because we're not putting paradoxes or anything in, is there anything that beats King Gambit? I'm jerry checking. I like all the Tauruses. I love the Paldean Tauruses. They're all really cool. Bellybolt's pretty cool as well. Obviously, Cerulege and Armarouge, both great. I do like them both. Hydrapple is also really good. Where are you? You're in, I think, your final DLC, aren't you? Yeah, you're Blueberry. Where is Hydrapple? There it is, Hydrapple. Also, really, really cool. Very deserving to be on this list as well. But King Gambit's something special. Again, another Mon that was very much a this. Oh yeah, also by the way, fuck Flamigo. This should not exist. This should be more diverse. It should be more interesting than just a normal Flamingo. I like Pokemon based on animals. They need to have more than just this is an animal. Because Flamigo, it's not a this is a Pokemon based on a Flamingo. It's just a Flamingo. But King Gambit, I love King Gambit so much. It's a badass Pokemon. That just absolutely slaps. Again, Bishop, once again, like Annihilape, Bishop was a Pokemon that was almost cool. It was like just on the edge of being cool. It just needed a little bit of something to make it that much better. And yeah, King Gambit was what it needed. So, yeah. It's absolutely really, really cool and really amazing Pokemon, and I am a huge fan of it. Anyway, that's all we got time for today. My fucking throat has died a couple of minutes ago, and I am getting a bit of a headache, and I'm getting just generally quite tired. So I will call it there for the evening. We have done a team for every single region, basically, of only available in the Gen Pokemon, which I thought was a bit of fun. A good little laugh to do, right? I might actually upload this one on YouTube. Why not, right? But it was just a bit of fun. I probably won't do one of these again, but I might do it as like a bit of a short moment when Legends EA comes out. A while after Legends EA comes out. Just to see, you know. If there's a lot of cool Pokemon for it. If there's not, and it's just a bunch of Megas, then we'll see. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Have a fantastic evening, every single one of you. Keep playing video games, keep being awesome, you guys. Oh, the best audience on Twitch. Enjoy the guys. Have a lovely evening and a wonderful, wonderful day today. Good night. See ya.